Feel free to swear. All right, let me see. Oh yeah, actually, we want to show this. You want to video it, obviously, so I'll be sharing the screen for the record. Oh no, it won't be. It'll record us. It'll record us. I'll definitely edit this bit out. I might Photoshop a 6-pack into me as well. Okay. Let me see.
Are you not having a drink?
Is that a rhetorical question? This is, by the way, Ray's podcast, Ray's as of yet unnamed podcast, is sponsored by Galahad, the cheapest beer you can get in Aldi in Ireland anymore. This is like €1.50 a can. There's a government minimum pricing on alcohol over here now. You used to be able to get, if you buy beer in bulk,
get €1. How much is it? Here it's like when it's on offer, and it's really good beer because Germans do really good beer.
Yeah, they do.
50 cents a bottle, half a liter.
A 500ml bottle, same amount as in this. Oh,
yeah, and I only drink bottles. I never drink cans.
I would prefer bottles, but they don't do 500ml bottles over here. So at best, you're getting a 330. And at worst, you might be getting a 250 shitty little thing, you know. I mean, you could neck in 5 seconds, like, kind of shit. But that's what I like about Malta, the shisk in the big 500ml bottles. Like, oh, you know, in America also, Coors Light cans are 710 milliliters, so it's basically like a can and a half of fucking Coors Light. You know, it's gone warm by the time you get to finish it. Of course, it's actually too much. Like the can is so fucking wide, mental.
Yeah, I mean they supersize everything, don't they?
Including the people. Oh my god. Oh my god. Yeah. Before I get into this interview, I'll tell you about the plane ride up. So we flew from one of the quieter airports, and I took random seating because it's just cheaper. And it ended up that me and Laura were on the same row, but opposite sides. So I'm at like, here's the window, here's the other window. I'm at this window, she's at that window. And I thought, that's cool. We can just shout across to us. Nope. 2 fat fucks were either side of us. In the whole 7.5-hour flight to Newark, I saw Laura twice. Once when I actually got up to use the bathroom, where I was actually standing up to see her. I could not see through the fat fuckers for the whole flight. Now, thankfully, Laura's so used to me that it doesn't matter. You know, a girl who was a bit more worried, whatever, might not have thought as much. You know, whatever. Anyway.
Yeah, so much for why you would go that so far for a few days.
Because it's good. Like it's good, but it's expensive, Dennis. Like, I mean, if you decided, okay, I'm going there for 2 weeks, you would be bankrupt. You'd spend 10 grand. Like it's not a place you can get cheap drink offers. It's not a place you have to be spending money for pretty much anything. A simple thing like going to see the Empire State Building is like $40. You know, we did go knacker drinking in Central Park a couple of times while we were over there, and stuff like that. And you know, but even with all that, we were still spending well in excess of 2 grand over there. Like,
yeah, but all the more reason not to go for a few days then.
But I like it there. I would rather spend a few days there than a long time somewhere that, like, if I went on, like, let's say, I've been to the Algarve before, I've been to Gran Canaria with David before. By the end of the week, I was so sick of the place, you know? I don't think there's anywhere that I would like to go that...
Yeah,
like,
but
even
I
money
hate
was no
traveling.
object.
I hate traveling that long.
Yeah.
Especially for a few days.
Yeah. I do understand that, like, it's adapting to the time difference. Oh my god, Laura found these because weed is legal over there, so you can buy. There's beside the tourist shops. There's weed shops. Laura thinks she's in heaven, of course. So she got these candy weed sweets, whatever. So she said, "Oh, try some." I was like, "Okay, cool." That's like no real effect, no real effect, no real effect. She kept giving me more and more, and of course it's a delayed effect. And I'm as dizzy as fuck, and we're walking through 34th Street, one of the busiest parts of the city. And I'm like, every person's going by me, and there's thousands. I keep thinking they're going to run into me or going to grab me water. I'm getting pure paranoid. And like, I was like, listen, Laura, we got to go back to the hotel. And she's like, no, but I'm fine. I was like, yeah, but I have to kind of look after you. Not in a bad way, but I'm the guy and I'm not able to look after myself. Let's go back to the hotel. I'm going to sleep this off, and then we'll do something tomorrow. So that was kind of a bit of a kick in the balls about because normally if I've weed, I don't get the appeal of it. To each their own, whatever. But I'm just like, well, that was a waste of money. 50 quid for that mug. I could have got 10 beers more, in a bar where I don't need to hide. I know you don't need to hide weed there, but it just wasn't my thing.
Yeah,
Anyway.
I mean, you need to do it first of all, in a good, nice environment. You don't do it when you're like that. That.
Yes, you need. Yeah, that's it. You want to be sitting. Ideally, the bar, you can't smoke it in bars, obviously, and you can't smoke it in the smoking area of bars either. There, you can just like be having it on the street, which is kind of fine, but kind of not. You're always a little uneasy with it, It's just not my thing. Don't think it ever will be, but I went to see. Go ahead.
My friend was in Boston a few months ago. He was guest lecturer for a few months at Harvard, and he said that it was illegal to smoke in the streets there.
Illegal
cigarettes. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, it's interesting, like cigarettes are becoming more and more illegal.
Yeah,
and weed's becoming less or more and more illegal.
It's true. That's true.
It's such a. I suppose doctors will probably tell you, of course, weed is probably less bad for your health than certainly for your lungs.
Nicotine.
Than nicotine, yeah. I mean, listen, like, cause I just say it to Laura the same, like, will you quit that disgusting habit? They're so expensive, whatever. Whatever. And I do think the making it, like, it's funny because the same argument to legalize weed, and it is quite a good argument. It's like, look, it's everywhere anyway. Like, if you made cigarettes illegal, those dealers would just start selling cigarettes overnight.
Yeah.
It would be prohibition.
I get why, it's this. I get to a degree, but I mean, for how many decades they were convincing us to smoke cigarettes, and now that my generation, the generation before, is like addicted. Now they're telling us, no, you can't smoke there, you can't smoke there, and the prices of cigarettes are like sky high. Like in Britain or somewhere.
Would you agree with New Zealand's idea, where I don't know if you're aware of it, they're making the age of cigarette smoking higher and higher and higher to sit you. So basically, I think right now it's like you got to be 24 or something. Next year it goes up to 25. Next year it goes up. So it's like if you're already a smoker when this ban came in, okay, fine, you can still smoke.
Yeah,
nobody knew
that makes
smoke.
sense.
Yeah,
there's a logic there. I get it.
But
I don't think
of
that's
course,
too bad.
kids are still going to try and sneak them or
of course.
buy them. And
but I mean, now I don't spend much on cigarettes. I buy every time I go to Greece, I go to the black market and buy from there. So I spend.
Hope you didn't get lost this time.
The filters and Rizlas, everything, 200 euros a year. That's nothing.
Yeah. Wow. Laura was saying though the quality's pretty shit though. I mean, yeah, for what you're paying, they're okay, but
mine are really good. Wow. They're not made in Russia or anything, or Kazakhstan. They're actually made in Greece.
Yeah. And they're still like 2-3 quid for a pack. It's
in Athens it's weirdly cheaper. It's 3.50. In Saloniki it's 4 euros. But it's 50 grams, so it's one lasts for you a week.
You'd imagine in the big city it would be more expensive, but look. Anyway, that's how you pronounce that. I've been calling it Salonika for. Of course,
you can say Thessaloniki. You can say Thessalonica. You can say Saloniki. Salonika.
I always think though with city names. Yeah, I always think with city names, regardless of the language you speak in, and hey, I didn't make the rules, but if I was making the rules, I was like, okay, what do the people from the country call it? That's what everybody should call it. In the same way that for years, everyone's calling Kiev, and I only know it as Kiev because all the football when I'm hearing of Dynamo Kiev in the football, everybody's saying Kiev. But I was informed by somebody who knows a little more about this than me that Kiev is the Russian pronunciation of the city. So to pronounce it like that is a bit of a an insult to them, especially with what's going on there now. So it's Kiev. All the news sites here call it Kiev, pronounce it Kiev now.
Well, I don't think it really matters so much, but yeah.
No. I mean, no, just.
I mean, I get that, but I think that's kind of like, I mean, established already. I mean, for how long? I mean, it was part of Soviet Union.
Yeah, but fuck the Soviet Union. I mean, they've half the world. They don't need more fucking land. They've already got too much.
Well, yeah, I mean, fuck them, obviously. But, I mean, that's the world now, isn't it? Like, it's split in two, more or less.
Yeah. I mean, it was like that for a while as well. I mean, we had a nice peaceful gap of 20, 30 years, and it's weird actually. Like,
it was like that in a way, but now everything is almost split into two. Or every country, the politics, everything.
Yeah. I mean, I can say obviously Northern Ireland is as it is. It's funny because Bill Clinton, when he came over here around the time that they did peace in 1998, he was saying, every time I go to the Middle East, every time I go there, I talk about Ireland and that we got you to make peace. And those people do hate each other. They do bonfires with photos of politicians from the other side in them. Like it's horrible to see, and these are people who already have their way, people that are in the union already, as opposed to people who want to be free from all that. It's kind of, now having said that, that's like 1,000th of what's happening in Israel at the moment. It's mental there. Like Laura doesn't like watching the news anymore because it's showing some pretty graphic shit there. But she's like, Laura's like, why do we need to see this? I'm not far behind her on it because I do think, like, when something is this far away, you know what cognitive dissonance is, where you're so separated from, like, it's like if somebody close to you dies, that's a huge thing. But if 1,000 people,
I get it, but that's the whole point. That's the whole point, isn't it? That we have to see, so we have to kind of let it in at some level, at least, because I mean these things shouldn't be happening, So
absolutely,
and
I do. It is a frustration.
Anybody who's not there is going to learn from it is by trying to learn what's going on, see what's going on. Yeah.
But
of course, you can just say, war is bad, but let's see, this war is wrong. But let's just, we need to obviously get into a bit more detail on that. It's not. I mean, obviously, nobody would ever say Palestine and Israel is black and white, but
no, not at all. No, I mean it's a little bit like, I've here's a funny thing. I've got when you can get when you pay your electric bill, you can get a cheap plan on it, or a cheaper plan to charge you less per unit on during the night than during the day.
Yeah.
I did that the other day because charging the electric car costs a lot.
How much does it cost? I'm curious.
So no, what to charge the car from 0 to.
Is that what the charge the car kind of sign is?
No, I was just showing you how big my cock is.
No,
it's so the car, to all intents and purposes, with a fully charged battery, can bring me about 250 to 300 kilometers in real world conditions, between using motorways, regular roads, whatever. So comparing that to my other car, where I can get 800 kilometers on a full tank of petrol. So if I do all the maths of that, to get 800 kilometers in my petrol car will cost me about 90 to 100 euro these days. To get that amount of mileage on my other car, on my electric car, would cost me about 15 euro. So you're talking 6 times cheaper to charge it. Assuming I'm charging it at home during the night, hence the alarm being set there to do that.
Also, why don't you get some solar panels on your roof or something?
Because they cost about $8,000 to get set up over here.
Yeah, I mean it's going to cost you a lot, but
you would be waiting about 10 years to get the saving back. And
yeah, well, the way the price is going, who knows? Maybe 5 years.
Yeah, that true. But what would be cool? I had there's a thread on one of the sites, one of the message board sites I use, and the guy put on. He said, "I'm driving on sunshine." Whoa! Basically, he has solar panels in his house, and he charges the car off it, so he's literally driving for free.
Yeah.
Having said that, there's a huge initial outlay. The car is at least 40 grand. The solar panels up to 10 grand, depending. Like, you have to have money to save money, which I guess is
I know,
a truism for life.
It's obviously long-term thinking.
Of course. Yeah.
I'm just gonna open the window and get some wine.
Yeah, I'm gonna grab a beer as well and piss. Fucking, I'll leave the recording on. Back in a minute. You got daddy. Yeah, you got daddy. Come on. Look, she's like, what the hell? Like, you're supposed to be behind me. You daddy. Come on. Wow. Anyway, we've got a visitor on the way up the stairs now. She's climbing up herself. Well, she's not climbing up herself. Lolly's behind her. I'm not that negligent.
She's climbing up herself.
Well, yeah, but Lolly's behind her, so she'll be falling. Come in. You going in? Look. Wanna say hi? Say hi.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi. Say hi, Dennis.
Hello.
If you give her a phone, here, who's on the phone?
She'll pretend to ring you. Look.
Who's on the phone?
Say hi, Yuck. Say hi.
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 She just wants your laptop.
She's too much. Yeah, she sees too much cool shit. Oh God, she pressed that button to send a dick pic. I got some keyboard shortcuts set up.
Imagine, Jesus.
Yeah. You went over there? Wow. It's just this is kind of my office, but it's also a bedroom. So there's a little single bed that side. I'm not going to turn the laptop because you remember how long it took to set things up earlier.
Yeah, I saw it earlier.
Yeah. Look the color. See, look.
How's all your interviewing going?
We haven't started. I was about to start, but then my alarm went off to uncharge the car. Then both of us realised we were low on beer, and yeah, we're about to start. I'll just but I was going to say we'll start with a joke, and here it is. She's trying to kiss the speakers as I speak. You love the speakers. See, they change colours and everything. Are you being silly?
Great.
All right, we'll throw her in the bin.
How are you, Dennis?
I'm good.
Good.
At home with the dog, we got 2 weeks alone because Gilliam's gone to Turkey.
Oh, so you're on your own for 2 weeks.
Well, the dog's there.
Yeah, the dog is here.
You miss her probably. 2 weeks, long time, isn't it?
2 weeks, perfect.
Still got a sturdy right hand.
I'm not going to say anything more because it's being recorded.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that is true. Yeah, yeah. I'll edit out the bits where you don't talk about it. Are you being silly? You being silly? You didn't clap your hand.
That was New York.
Oh, it's great.
Will you clap your hands?
Absolutely amazing. I love it. Yeah. It's great. It was lovely. The weather was fab. It's great.
Yeah.
You can beat to like over here. Smoke around. It's great. It's great.
It's a long way to go. I was telling him, I think it's a long way to go for a few days.
It is, but you know what? A few days is enough. You'd be tired of the place after a few days. So.
And being away from her as well.
No, I mean, I get
Difficult.
that. I kind of like going to places just for a few days, but I don't like traveling that far.
That's it, yeah. But see, I always find when you're going to the airport anyway, you might as well go on a long flight. You're literally there for 2 hours beforehand anyway.
Look, she's already you inhaling links, you know.
I'd love to have a private plane, so you'd never have to be at the airport. You could just fly from your back garden or something.
A helipad on the roof.
Great.
Yeah, I mean, it's annoying. I mean, it's like 8 to 10 hours, no matter where you fly. If it's like 2-hour flight or whatever.
Even if it's 2 hour flight, because it's like you're 2 hours in the airport, 2 hours after, it kind of nearly getting
Yeah, plus getting to the airport as well.
That's it, like, yeah.
Coming home is the worst, of course, because at least on the way up, you're looking forward, you're excited. By the time you're way home, you're feeling dirty, groggy. You just want to get home. But look,
that's why statistically I miss 1/3 of my flights back.
I know I can't send you the smell of in the air, but it looks like she needs a nappy change, or it certainly smells like.
Not
I'm guessing
maybe it's your links.
Maybe spray is used. Here, oh, you got it laughing. Boogie 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 boogie.
Okay, say bye bye.
Man United.
Bye bye.
I was hoping she'd take it like that.
Say bye bye.
Say bye bye. Yeah. Bye. Yeah, bye bye. Say bye bye.
Bye.
Go down the stairs. But it's I love that I can make her laugh. I do struggle with that. I used to struggle with that.
You have one of those faces.
One of those everything's, but
yeah, maybe I'm sure when she's old enough, she'll laugh at your dick too.
I fucking hope not. Jesus Christ. I hope she has no opinion on it whatsoever. Oh my god, actually. I went to see you know who Jim Jeffries is, the comedian?
Yeah.
I went to see him on Wednesday. He was in Galway City, and he told a story during his show, and he said this is 100% true, whatever. So his mum died a few years ago, but his dad is still alive, and his dad's like 85, let's say, but his mum was not so happy. Oh, fucking hell! Sorry, I just realized Robin pulled some of the keys out of the keyboard. My enter key. God. She's trying to say something.
I think that's a sign. I mean, you may not enter.
Anyway, how the fuck do you do it? I couldn't do that, but I could actually. Anyway, so Jim Jeffries, his dad, his mum died a few years ago, but Jim had a new girlfriend, and he went to visit his dad a few years back, flew back to Australia with her. The woman's half Indian, half American, whatever. And his dad, of course, being a pure, typical, traditional Aussie kind of old guy, he says, "Oh, great! It's great to meet you. I'm sorry that my wife didn't live to see this day. I'm delighted that he's met you. And I'm looking forward to having one of your curries." You know, and he goes on to say, "Oh, my wife, she had the best pussy ever. It was magic. This is like 2 minutes after saying hello to, meeting the parents, whatever." And he's going on about his dead wife's pussy for ages and ages with her. He said the girl goes to the bathroom, and he starts telling Jim about how when his mother turned 60, like, because they had an active sex life, they're having sex like a lot. The wife she's turning 60, her bits are getting a bit dry down there, whatever. And basically her dad said, oh, she wouldn't, we couldn't have sex after she turned 60. She got a note from her doctor to confirm it. She got a note from the doctor to give to the husband so they couldn't fuck, That's not even the worst part of it, right? So she then said, listen, it's okay for you to get a prostitute once a week, because I know you still got the sex drive, whatever.
I had a feeling it was going somewhere there.
We'll have an understanding, whatever. And then he's telling Jim all this, and basically it turns out he has his favorite 2 or 3 Filipino prostitutes that he uses there, because prostitution is legal in Australia. Anyway, so he got to know them so well that they started doing his grocery shopping for him and everything, bringing the groceries to the house. And Jim's like, Dad, too much info, TMI, too much info. Why are you telling me all this? I didn't need to know this. He's like, yeah, but I'm getting old. I could be dead in a few years. I might have cancer, whatever. When I die, if some Filipino women turn up at the funeral, be nice to them. He says, imagine your regular prostitute turning up at your funeral.
You never know. If you have the same guy for how many years?
Do you know who I just thought about, actually, as I'm told that story? You remember Giraud, from Belgium? You were telling me how he fell in love with one of the strippers in Malta, and
yeah.
I guess he started seeing her. I don't know how.
Well, until he ran out of money.
Yeah, well, look, you got to look like you to get away with not having any money and getting laid often, in fairness. Anyway, yeah. So hi Gulam, good to see you watching this video. Don't worry, man. You know I'm not an asshole. Most of the time. All right, okay. Let's start this. Okay, let's quit the shit. Let's start this. Okay, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna ask the question, and I'm just thinking. I'm going to ask the question, and I'm going to go quiet for like a minute. I'm just going to let you gather your thoughts and, do your thing. I mean, look, if it's going nowhere or whatever, but I don't want to just counter you and jump across you, which I've a habit to do. I just want to get your answers, let you think about it, maybe you'd have a story, whatever, that kind of way. Some of the questions are deeper than others. Some of them are silly things. Some of them are very big kind of things. Okay, so we'll start with an easy one. All right, so can you remember your first pet?
First pet?
Yeah.
I think, well, there are 2. You can say there are 2 first pets. One was my grandfather's. They had a big Newfoundland dog.
They're like Labradors,
like 10 times the size of me. Newfoundlands are huge. They're really gentle giants. They're huge. Like I was a kid, I was like this, so he was probably.
Yeah. Most big dogs are gentle.
No, Mabel. Otherwise, but that was my grandfather's. But every time we go visit, we stayed with them for like a week or 2, and but otherwise, my mother got me a bunny for my 8th birthday. It lasted 2 weeks because we noticed something was wrong. Took it to the vet, and it had cancer, so it had to be put down. So it was a really dark pet story.
Yeah, for an 8-year-old. Wow. I mean, the little girl there, she gets upset if her teddies fall over, but wow. Yeah, interesting. Okay, that was a short one. Okay, this one has a lot of parts to it.
But yeah, I mean, I had a lot of pets since, obviously, as well.
Yeah. Okay.
I had my own first dog when we moved to Greece. I was just before I turned 9. Or 9, yeah. And we had him for 6 years. German Shepherd.
You moved around a lot, of course, as well. But yeah, you were there for that many years. What happened to that dog?
That was not a nice story. Our landlord, we lived in this villa, and our landlord lived above us, and they had a chicken farm at the back. So, or eat the chicken regularly. He would dine out.
Sorry,
So
the connection got
obviously,
shit
the landlord
again.
was
Can you
pretty
just
pissed
repeat that?
off.
Yeah, the landlord lives upstairs.
Yeah, and they had the landlord had a chicken farm at the back.
Oh,
So King would go and eat the chickens quite regularly. And of course, the landlord didn't like it. So at the end, it
yeah.
became a bit tense between us. And he kind of, we were forced to give away the dog. My stepfather's friend had this factory outside the city, and he went there, but he ran back twice. But then third time he didn't run back. But it was like, it was quite far away. We're talking about 20 kilometers, but he somehow managed to make his way back.
That's a nice
Sad.
story.
Sad, but yeah.
I do like dogs. I do like I was very attached to them when we were kids because I even to this day my parents still breed them. But you do kind of I do like the way that much like actually with Robin, they think you're great, certain yeah. Of course with kids it wears off. But
I love King. I mean, he's still my favorite dog I've ever had by far. It was like family. It was like a brother.
yeah.
And I had a lot of adventures with him.
Cool. He wouldn't be the sort of dog that's trying to hump your leg or anything like that.
I remember once he castrated. So when the females, the bitches were in heat, he was really after them. I remember once I used to walk.
You learned from the masters, didn't you?
I used to walk with him to the shop, and without any lead or anything, and I'd leave him outside. He'd wait, and a few times when I came back, he'd be in the middle of fucking another dog. I remember one time he got stuck. I didn't know how to pull them apart. It took forever before he came to, even though he wasn't moving, but they were stuck together. I couldn't get them apart.
I remember the first, yeah. It's because you don't know, yeah. I mean, I remember asking my parents to like just throw some cold water on them. I mean, if people are fucking, leave them.
Yeah.
Anyway, you're a kid who it's already the
I
first
was.
thing
I
you get
wasn't. I
taught.
wasn't 100% sure what was exactly happening.
Yeah, they're killing each other. Okay, cool. Yes. I guess that's a nice story. Well, somebody got laid, so that's a nice story.
There was another one. I remember because we lived on the 4th floor of this apartment building, right next to the woods, but it was still, city, and high up. Anyway, during one of the seasons, where the females were on heat, he disappeared. First time, he disappeared for 3 days, and we were looking all over for him, driving around, and he shows up after 3 days. I don't know how he managed to get up the stairs, but he was outside the door, and he had like scratches, blood, everything, but he had this look like, I've been around. Like, I had a good time.
Yeah. He's if he had a guitar, he'd start singing the blues or something after it, Tangled Up in Blue kind of vibe about him, keeping on. All right, very good. Okay. Any other thoughts on that before we move on?
I have some more stories about him, but that's okay. We can move on.
Okay. All right. So this one might go, but this is more of a philosophical one. What is your opinion on religion?
I guess I'm kind of in the Karl Marx thinking there, opiate for masses. I think religion is good if it brings out the good in people. But religion, I find, is a way to control people and to give people ridiculous hope. Like, don't worry, if this life sucks, everything's gonna be better in your next life. Just suffer now.
Yeah, like I
Uh,
mean, even if there was a God, what kind of God would have you make you suffer like that?
I always say, like, what kind of God would want to be worshipped? Not the kind of God I would want to worship.
Yeah.
Anyway, and I mean, I do believe that there's some kind of a connection between our life, but I think whatever the meaning of life or whatever is, it's more individual on a grand scale. It's completely incomprehensible for us.
Definitely. You got the question's kind of multi-parted. So basically, say, did you ever believe in it, like in religion, in the
Uh,
religion?
I never believed in it, but I do remember being probably 6, 7, 8, pissed off at something, or like and then really like, okay, God, if you're there, help me, or stuff like that. But no, I never believed.
Okay. What do you think happens after we die?
I think that's it. Unfortunately, I think that's it. I think
We've all got a
it
clock.
all goes black.
Yeah. Sopranos ending, isn't it? Yeah. Except without the credits.
Well, you get the credits at the funeral, right?
Of course, yeah. Kind of related, but not really. Do you have a theory on how the world came to be? The Big Bang, whatever. Kind of, how are we existing? I forget Adam and Eve or whatever, but just like.
I mean, I guess my theory would be, what scientists say, but why we're existing, how we're existing exactly, I think that's still beyond our comprehension.
Because like in our heads, like something
why
has to pre-exist for something else to exist.
Yeah,
And,
of course,
at some point there has to have been
atoms and
start.
all that, and but how we have the conditions to live on Earth, and we have the sun, the moon, for gravity and for living, for oxygen, for everything. I mean, that's why people, I guess, believe in God.
Yeah, because the conditions are so perfect. But yeah, I mean, it does. I would say, just to steal my own interview here, like who's to say, like if you could get far enough away, if you had the technology or whatever, that there probably is the perfect conditions for life of some other form in these other galaxies.
I mean, I guess the other question there is like, I mean, since we're talking about evolution, we as human beings, then are we the finally evolved product? Probably not. I mean, we're going to be different in 500 years, 1,000 years, or
absolutely, yeah.
If we're around in a few, in like 10,000, 100,000 years, we'll probably be hairless. We'll probably be without that. Everything that's not so necessary for our existence will slowly diminish, disappear.
We'll still have dicks, won't we? Sorry.
Yeah, of
the
course.
The ghost of David has just come into that conversation.
And you'll still be a dick if you're alive.
I'll be, hey, man, if I'm still alive in 100,000 years, I'll be more than a dick. I'll be a genius, a legend.
Yeah.
No, I won't be I would have been a legend, but then people got sick of me and just desaintified me or something. Is that a word? Decanonized me. Hey, look, there's already a Pope Francis, so we're gonna have to have a Saint Francis as well. Wasn't that such a fucked up coincidence?
Wasn't there a Saint Francis?
Yeah, he's named after Saint Francis of Assisi, who was he wouldn't take the trappings of the papacy. He wanted to make sort of like Mother Teresa. She would have done that. She mixed with the poor and tried to help them as much as possible. Sorry, that's I missed that. It went shit again.
I think she treated other people really badly, actually, really badly, and refused them, many things like hospital treatment and stuff while she had it herself. So a lot of these people, Gandhi, Mount Teresa, as
They're
they have
flawed.
amazing
They're
sides
flawed
that they're famous
characters.
for,
Yeah.
they're very flawed, and I mean, Gandhi was apparently sleeping naked with teenagers, stuff like that, and he was completely against South Africa in the beginning before he, so yeah, I mean, nothing is black and white.
Yeah,
Even
absolutely,
black and white.
absolutely. Do you know you're after listening to some people there, and somebody else actually that I think, like I have heard some bad things also about Nelson Mandela. I mean, in some eyes, he would be considered a terrorist. I mean, he's responsible for a lot of death as well as the good things he did.
Well, I mean, Mandela spoke about forgiveness and moving on a lot. So I mean, I think he suffered. I mean, for what, 30 years in prison for the right thing. So I don't know. I think that Mandela is not the best example for this. I don't think. But of course, he wasn't perfect.
Flawed character.
And
But, like when you think of people, actually, here's a quite like this. This is off script, but who would you say is the most like they're idolized almost to godlike status, but you would regard them as completely as full of flaws, full of like not even to the extent of nobody's perfect.
oh
But
yeah, I mean that generally, I mean, depends
like
how you get
Kennedy
it.
would jump. Kennedy would jump to
You
mind.
would say politicians, of course. That would be the first thing. You'd say, I mean, politicians, past and present.
Of course,
I mean, there's always a percentage that idolizes them, even though, I mean, you and I aren't among those, but
no, I like people in the past. I'm always when I see because obviously JFK has so many things named
listen,
after
I
him.
mean, JFK, I mean, he was a great president. That's not fit. That's
I would
just because he's a martyr doesn't mean that he didn't do a lot of good things. But I mean, he did a lot of bad things as well. I mean, he refused to really stand up for the civil rights struggle because he was scared of how he would lose votes or lose face or how it would affect him politically.
You obviously know Eddie. He always said to me that Robert was would have been a much better president, and could be good. Like after the assassination of Martin Luther King, he went and addressed the black civil rights activists, whatever. After it, and he showed a lot of balls to be out there, and
I mean, Robert Kennedy was. I think he definitely had, say, more strong convictions and morals and ethics than John. But then again, he went after the mafia like crazy. For example, with the trials, and who knows? I mean, the effect of his brother being shot like that as president, who knows? Maybe that brought those things out to him. I don't know what. I mean, it's not like we can claim to know these people personally.
Yeah, of course, yeah. I mean, we only know what's reported, of course. I mean, to be a fly in the wall in some of the chats that went on there and things that never have seen the light of day. I mean,
there's also these conspiracy theories which sound quite plausible. How the Kennedys have Marilyn Monroe killed. Both of them were having affairs with her.
Yeah, of course, yeah. I mean,
I think Robert is the last person she talked to on the phone.
I have to say though, like being brutally honest, and like you said yourself, to do this interview thing, you didn't want Goolham here. If you're John F. Kennedy or any US president, like I mean, for all my criticisms of Trump, him being a womanizer is not one of them. He's just, he's that famous that he was able to fuck around. Like,
yeah, I mean, if he wasn't famous, if he didn't have money, nobody would.
No, of course not. Yeah, forget that. My point being that that women are throwing themselves at him all the time.
Yeah, I mean that's fame, celebrity, money. That's.
I mean, having said that, you would imagine getting to.
But back then, these things, even though they were known by the press and stuff, they wouldn't release them. It was covered up. It was accepted. It was.
Well, I mean, Bill Clinton's affairs were covered up for a long time also. I mean, the worst thing was the one that exposed him. You're sort of like, you're the president, and that's who you fuck about with, you know.
Yeah,
You
but
never.
that's a total guy thing, right? You're gonna be like, okay, really, her? That's what you take from it.
Well, yeah, but I mean, Kennedy got with some good-looking women. Clinton, not so much.
Yeah, I mean, but Kennedy was a lot better looking than Clinton.
That's true. That is true. Still, anyway, yeah, it's look. I mean, let's get my moral hat back on for a minute. It's wrong to have that much power and abuse it so much. Having
Yeah,
said that, we've all got a dick. It sometimes it does the thinking for us.
yeah. I mean, but I think it's different. Your dick thinks differently when you're 15 and when you're 20, when you're 30, when you're 40.
Yeah. The idea that, like, even now, I'm like, even if I'm out for a night and I see pretty girls and that, I have no interest in approaching them because I'm like, these look great from afar. It's all downhill from there, you know. They've got makeup
Yeah, I
on.
mean, I'd say generally nowadays I'm happy to appreciate beauty, but I'm not interested.
Yeah. I mean, hey, look, listen. 1 in 100 of them is probably very intelligent, very good to talk to, would make great company. It's just not worth it for having to talk to 100 of them, you know.
Oh yeah,
So,
but also if you're obviously if you're in a relationship or not. If you're not in a relationship, then you probably have to talk to one of them.
if you're
Not
not in a
have to,
relationship,
but you know, there's no reason not to.
yeah, of course. But my whole point is between it's like, especially for a very good looking girl, a lot of other guys talking or whatever. If she is that intelligent, whatever, you're competing with all that. It's just, I'm a lazy man. I knew I'd end up interviewing myself. No, anyway, we'll move on. This isn't this. I don't know how the fuck this came from me asking you, do you have a theory on how the world happened? And we're talking about fucking presidents fucking about and what you would do. Anyway, that would have been a better question. Okay, this is question 3 of about 15. Okay. Now think about it. I will shut up after this question, okay? Just to give you a minute to think about it. Remember that this can be anything. Have you ever had a supernatural experience or thought you saw a ghost, UFO, something like that?
I have once, the ones that definite ones.
Yeah.
I was sitting in front of the laptop and in front of the computer, pre-laptop days.
You're talking early 2000s, around the time you would have met me, Dave, that kind of time?
Yeah, I think it was 2004.
Okay.
Yeah. Five. Yeah, I think around that.
Yeah.
I was playing poker, I think. So I was sober as a judge. I hadn't smoked anything or.
Really?
No, I was completely sober.
I thought you were being sarcastic. Sorry. Go on. Go on.
No, because
I'm just picturing you. I'm just picturing you on the phone to customer support. That's bullshit. That was in on time, you know.
No, because during that period, during that year, I was making all my extra by poker, so I was really grafting. I was, and I didn't want to, be tipsy or anything like that when I was playing. So once they fully focused, very different to if I played now. I'd be like, yeah, whatever. It's more fun if I'm tipsy or stoned, whatever.
You see, if you've enough control of yourself, it's like if you've a limit of whatever, 50 quid, whatever it is, and you can afford to lose it, whatever. Yeah. But anyway, you're playing poker.
Yeah, during those days I couldn't afford to lose it because I was making £200 a week.
Yeah.
Just by playing poker at night when everyone was asleep. So that was my income. So
a very variable income. Oh, sorry, with the poker on top of it, I mean, you're gambling. It's things can go shit sometimes.
I was risking £50 max every week, and I was getting average 500 on a good day, on a good week. Anyway, so I was sitting there playing, and suddenly there was this like fireball right in front of me. I thought,
in the room.
Yeah, it was like let's say a meter and a half from me.
Oh.
And it was there for almost an hour.
And you're sober all this time?
Yeah, I'm sober.
It's late though. You're talking 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning.
No, it wasn't that late. It was maybe like midnight, a bit after.
Okay. How did you react?
I was staring at it. I was like wondering what it is. Or is it supposed to mean something? I mean, I don't know what it was, and then maybe I don't know how long it was. It felt like close to an hour, maybe after 45 minutes, and it just vanished.
Are you living with Dave at this time when this is happening? Did you talk to him about it, or
no? I was living with Laura.
I mean,
Laura was upstairs sleeping.
Could the flames just be the steam coming out of your ears through a regular fight you guys had?
No, I mean, I know what I saw. I mean, I know.
No.
It wasn't like
I'm messing with you. I actually have
a second. I'm not. I don't know what it was. I don't know what it was meant to be, but it was so weird, and it was so. I mean, I know what I saw. What I was seeing.
Yeah, of course.
So, but I never told anybody really, because who would? I mean, I didn't even know what I would be explaining, because I didn't know what it was that I saw. It was like a sphere of kind of like the sun. You could imagine, like a burning yellow, orange.
Did your eyes? In the same way as if you look at the sun. Did you need to look away? Were your eyes a bit?
It wasn't like I don't know what it was, but that was my supernatural experience.
Well, it's interesting. Like
I only told my father after it happened, and my father was like, "Oh wow, weren't you scared?" And I was like, "No." He's like, "Well, I would be super scared." I was like, "Well, why would I be scared? I mean, this is obviously something inhuman or something, whatever it is, if it's a thing that has something intention, something, if it want to hurt me, then it would hurt me. I haven't had any chance anyway. I don't know. This is beyond my spectrum.
When you see the fireball, okay, so take you back here. Now, you're seeing this. Are you feeling the heat from it?
And I was rubbing my eyes. I was like, I was doing all the normal stuff, like, come on.
No, but are you
still there?
But from the point of view of like the only sense that's been affected here is
I didn't feel any
heat. That's what I'm looking for. Did you feel any heat from it?
No, I don't remember. I mean, this is also like, this is 20 years ago.
Yeah, I know. I understand. I know. Just, but you do describe it quite well, as if it wasn't so long ago. I was just thinking, in terms of, like it goes back to
I don't remember any heat. I don't remember any heat. I was just perplexed at what it was and what it meant, if it meant something to me, or what it was and why it was there. The whole thing, it just, yeah.
No, it's interesting. I'll very briefly say, do you know what a banshee is?
Yeah.
So when I was like 19, maybe about a year before I met you guys, our parents owned a house, but they also owned the house next door, and I stayed in it for a summer because they had tenants. Anyway, so one night, like I'm sleeping in the front room, and it goes out onto the street there, but I'm nearly sure I heard one outside, and she was combing the hair, and she had the scream of a banshee. And for some reason, I knew what the scream of a banshee sounds like, even though it had never been described to me before or whatever like that. I didn't see her, but the scream was so vivid in me, and I saw through the curtain some kind of light, as if somebody is outside there in the garden, you know. Now a banshee traditionally is supposed to warn you of a relative that's about to die, which thankfully wasn't the case. But yeah, it did kind of go, shit, that's a fucking banshee, you know. Just it just kind of freaked me. Did I talk to anyone about it? Not really, no. I do remember thinking, if somebody said it to me at the time, I'd have thought they were a loop the loop, you know. Just
Yeah, I mean, same. I mean, I didn't see a point of telling people, to be honest, because also, I mean, somebody told me that, I probably I'd been like, yeah, okay, whatever. And also, it wasn't like anything. I mean, it happened, but nothing happened.
Yeah.
No. So I didn't
No, of
get
course.
to
I
the
mean,
bottom of it or
yeah,
anything like that.
I think, yeah, but I mean, obviously, if something came of that, that would be a story you would tell without being prompted. Here's an interest, actually, just to jump to the next one, because I think this links quite well. Has a dream you ever had come to fruition? So you're in bed, you're asleep, you have a dream. Maybe the next day, maybe not the next day, maybe in years after, that something similar or related.
Maybe, probably. But you know, it's one of those deja vu things, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. You're like, I've been here.
I'm gonna get it from mine. You can
Yeah,
keep
sure.
talking.
Yeah. But yeah, there is that whole vibe of, I've been here before, from stuff or places you go to, you're like, shit, this is all very familiar to me. Now it's not to the stage where you're like, look, I'll turn this corner and there'll be, I don't know, this ice cream shop in front of me, whatever, that kind of way. Or if oh, I don't know, maybe a girl you meet in the dream is very similar to a girl you meet in real life, and you know that the same song is on when you meet her, or the bar you go to has a disco ball, same as the, you know. I'm
Yeah,
oversimplifying
I
it,
mean,
but you get what I mean.
well, yeah. I mean, a lot of times because you know people that well, or or the world, or you also know what's going to happen because you predicted,
Hmm. Yeah.
or you're in the zone somehow. Like I've
Yeah,
had
yeah.
conversations with friends, and I know exactly word for word what they're about to say, even though it's a completely different subject, because I just know that they're, I don't know, I just feel that that's where they're
You feel
going. And
you've been there already, or yeah. It's one of those things. It's hard to pinpoint an incident, but if somebody asked me the same question, I would also say yeah, without being able to pinpoint a fucking incident, you know. But yeah, it's the mind is complicated.
yeah,
Which is why,
and we're subconscious is very complicated,
yeah.
yeah, and intuitive, and how much we absorb without knowing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Do you know what I found a very interesting movie? You've seen Limitless with Bradley Cooper. Yeah, just the
Yeah,
way that we only use 20% of our mind and all the little things that happen. But what I found very interesting was, and I actually think this is borderline true. You know, like if you're on a busy subway, or you're wherever, you're walking through crowds or stuff, even the person that you brush off accidentally, for some reason, your mind kind of creates a bond with that person. And if you might meet that person in a bar 6 years later that you happen to brush off that day, and there's something that kind of
yeah,
makes it
yeah. I
familiar
mean,
to
your
you.
subconscious can
Mhm.
obviously recognize, and
Yeah.
maybe send you signals. Who knows? I mean, there are so many
Yeah.
different.
Without you being able to spell it out in your head, but it just kind of, it's there, you know. Like
Yeah, but of
there's
course we have that with people that reminds of us other people, or especially if it's like a positive thing, or it could be even a negative thing. But you know,
Laura's sister. Laura has a younger sister. Well, she's lots of family, but whatever. Her younger sister Sarah, she's gay, but she's with the same partner for about 3-4 years. We were at a festival 5 years ago, just before lockdown started, and that girl was also at it. They didn't know each other at the time, and I was like, "Fucking hell!" Whenever I'm at festivals, I take loads of photos, loads of videos. You know, not just of the bands, just of the general vibe of the place, whatever. And I was like, there must be something. Like, it wasn't that big. It's a medium-sized festival, maybe 3,000 people at it. Nothing major. You should be. I'm like, how did we not spot you there? But having said that, like, we're all very good. Like, the sister, her partner, she's lovely girl, sound out, very very friendly, whatever. You're like, and we couldn't. And she's loads of videos, and we're not in them. It's like, are you sure you were there? But anyhow, that's about why I would be fired for taking over the interviews too much. Okay. Now here's something that's a bit more day to day, sort of. How do you feel football has come in the last 20 years, good or bad? Let me just finish the question before I get it. How do you feel football has come in the past 20 years, good or bad? Was Sky a good thing for the game, and was VAR? I know this is kind of a lot of questions in one, but yeah, I mean, even just start with 20 years. So it's 2003.
All right. Well, I'm not going to go with the exact years. I don't think 2003 was a great revelation for football or anything, but I'd say in general over the last few decades, I think it's better in the sense that there's better and worse. Better in the sense that you don't have any leg breakers anymore in the game. For example, like
your Vinnie Jones is your
like
right.
Maradona suffered, the original Ronaldo suffered. Those kind of things are more or less out of the game, which is great because you want to see people playing football. You want to see dribbling, you want to see all those things, and you don't want to see people getting hurt and their careers finished, when they're 16, 17, 20, 30, whatever.
I wonder if Alfie Hinga Holland would have made a great player.
He was an okay player.
Yeah. I mean, he wasn't setting the world alight. It was interesting with the right.
But obviously, he was obviously a smart player because he's passed on everything he's known to his son.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I also think it's great that now we can watch pretty much any game.
Yeah.
I mean, you
in
remember
5 seconds you can load it up anywhere. Yeah.
When you had to watch the action on either listen to radio or watch the action on live text, something like that.
Match of the day. See, yeah, or you're on CFAX or teletext, whatever.
Exactly. Yeah, we had teletext as well in Sweden. We used to watch the football from that when the game wasn't on. There's an appreciation for the game, which is great. It's global. On a negative, okay, actually, I think VAR is good. I actually think VAR is really good. I just think that we're not using it correctly yet. I think, for example, what you have in tennis is a technology we should be implementing in VAR.
Yeah, because it's science how the ball is. There's no analyzing replays, whatever. They've got the chip on the ball. It's checking the GPS.
Yeah. I mean, VAR is about getting it right. It's not about doing the opposite. So that's why it gets really frustrating. But at the same time, if we didn't have VAR, even with its flawed use right now, in that sense, I'm for VAR, of course. It just needs to be improved. Negative. Generally negative about football, I'd say, of course, that it's like Hollywood now, isn't it? A bit. Which is, I'm saying, I'm sure it's kind of fine from the outside, but for the players, that can't be.
No.
Great life, great how many years to go through. Maybe I'm sure there's some that enjoy it, but who enjoys not having any privacy wherever you go all the time?
I think the guys who went to Saudi Arabia probably get pretty good privacy because fuck all people watch it over there. I mean,
that's true. That's true. But the guys that go to Saudi Arabia are pretty much at the end of their careers.
Trent Alexander, who from Liverpool went there? Jordan Henderson, isn't that who went? Yeah. He's not that old.
Oh, he's 33, is he?
Oh, okay.
Anyway, I don't like negative. I don't like I mean, who can afford to own a football team that's in the top now? It's always narcissist billionaires or
Cheeks.
fucked up governments.
Yeah.
So, that's a negative. It's I back in the day, used to be a lot more pure like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's
Less
interesting.
about business, more about football.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, because it's interesting. Now, like, you said you've met Colin Hendry, you've met John Barnes, you've met people like that. And like those guys, like I met Brian McNair I say I met him. He was doing an exhibition with Wes Brown actually over JP where he lives. We went to go see them last year, and it's so funny because Brian McNair, who obviously from a United point of view is a legend, first guy to score 20 goals a season since George Best, whatever. Even though he didn't really win much, he was at the tail end of his career by the time they started really kicking off. But I during the interval, I went to the bathroom and I was washing my hands, and he was washing his hands beside me, and I was like, "Oh my god, they don't give you your own bathrooms of these things. You got to mix with us regular people." And he's like, "Yeah, that's just life just kind of goes." And he saw me for a minute, like and then his security guy said, "Okay, sorry, but he gives you the time of day, like." You compare that to Ronaldo's a bad example because he's ridiculously famous, but maybe Ruud van Nistelrooy, someone like that, would he really fucking chat to you? I don't think he would.
I think Van Nistelrooy would probably chat to you. I think he lives in Malaga, so
Yeah.
the fact that he lives in Malaga, I think he's probably pretty approachable.
But I would imagine that these guys who are doing these things after they retire, like they didn't hit the golden age of football. They weren't making crazy money, so after they retired, they kind of, if they hadn't invested in bars or property or whatever, they or got jobs as a football pundit, they kind of need to do exhibitions and shit like that, or meet the fans.
And it's also probably that they want to stay kind of involved and relevant.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, sorry, it's probably their greatest passion and then their most rewarding passion that they've had in their life that they've been acknowledged for.
Yeah. Oh
and
yeah,
they're still acknowledged for. They're still recognized for. So
it was funny with Wes Brown.
It's a different. That's a weird thing. I think if you're a top athlete and when you retire, then what do you do with all that energy? What do you do with all that attention that you had?
I mean, Roy Keane. Everywhere he goes, everyone's roaring Keano. I mean, like to this day, it's great. I mean, Gary Neville has him on his social media channel. I'm sure you've seen some of the stuff they do. I mean, it's kind of sad in a weird way because he's very much a strong, silent type kind of guy, and yet he's
quite honest. I like that he's honest. He's a bit of a dick, but he knows he's a bit of a dick. I think he still wants to get back into management.
He does. Yeah. The Ireland job is coming up very soon. They're doing a meeting next month, and obviously with that group, Greece bet us home and away. France and Holland bet us home and away. We may beat Gibraltar in a couple of weeks, maybe not. We did beat Gibraltar. We're playing Holland away next month, and then New Zealand in the friendly. And after that, the guy's contract gets reviewed. He should have been sacked 10 years ago. And bear in mind, he's only in the job 3 years. He is a terrible manager, and he's so bad at interviews. Dennis, it's terrible. Like, oh fuck me, Jesus. When he gets interviewed, he's so awkward. I always thought I was awkward talking to people in interviews. I'm like, fucking hell, I am like fucking an alpha male compared to this guy. What the fuck? This guy gets $500,000 a year. No, €550,000 a year, which isn't huge in football management, whatever, in football these days. But from an association that doesn't have that much money in a country that doesn't have football as its main sport, the rugby is much bigger these days. The regular GAA football is much bigger. To pay that guy that kind of money is just madness. And he puts out embarrassing performance after embarrassing performance and really shitty interviews. Like, you must see your Louis van Gaals, your Jose Mourinho's, whoever of this world, Jurgen Klopp's, Pep
Well, yeah, I
Guardiola.
mean, I think the standard has of course changed and risen. I mean, the data analysis alone over the past decades, has gone to another level, and
No, but
means so much.
Dennis,
but also
Brian
no, but
Clough, Brian Clough.
also
Like, you
having
knew that guy was in charge. You knew that guy was in charge.
also, I mean, we have Klopp, like you said, people like Mourinho, Guardiola, whatever. You have people with charisma. And you need to have a certain certain amount of charisma at least to be able to motivate your players. Unless you're like like some Einstein of football. Yeah, and even then, you probably need a coach that's going to be able to motivate them.
Yeah. But that's it. I mean, you need like you've done countless jobs over the years, and you've worked for good managers, bad managers. 99% of the time, I would hope, without even being told who the manager is, you'd know by looking at them, by their mannerisms, whatever. That's the boss. Nobody needed to introduce you to the boss. You knew who the boss was. Maybe Olga's probably an exception because she's a tiny girl. I mean, she's probably good at her job, but when you first see her, you're like, that's not the boss. All right, and then you talk to her for a bit. Okay, that's the boss.
I think that depends on if when it comes to work. It depends if you're working with someone and they get promoted, then it can be a bit weird then. But if they're from the boss from day one, then it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah,
how you feel about them.
There's people that are made out to be bosses, though. I mean, like even if you are friends, I mean, I would happily go for a beer with my boss. We have the chat, whatever like that. But I mean, even when you're having the chats at work and having the crack, there's a time he interrupts you and just gets down to business. You know me. I'm going off my tangent, and he's like, "Okay, now we need to fucking sit down and do it." I can't picture our manager Stephen Kenny being anything like that. He just seems like you could fart and it might blow him over. It's anyway.
Well, it sounds like he's not going to be around for much longer anyway. So, and let's not.
Thankfully, I wouldn't guess.
Moving on.
Moving on is right. Yeah, that's what I hope they do. All right. This is a fun one. Best celebrity meeting you've ever had. And you've met celebrities, I know that for a fact. You've told me. We've mentioned a few, but
I don't know. Like,
I'll give you have a think. Have a think.
Two ones just for fun of it come to mind. I don't know if they're the best, but they popped out. One was Michael Stipe from REM.
Oh, class.
Yeah, but he was such an asshole. But it was funny because we laughed at him so much. We ended up making jokes about it all night and laughing. We'd met these two girls.
How did you meet?
Who had actually been to the concert, and they pretend to be British to us. Two Swedish girls, and we fell for it. All three of us fell for it. We didn't. Their accent was good. We believed them.
Yeah.
And then Michael Stipe shows up with his girlfriend, and comes up to our table and asks for directions and stuff. And the girls completely lost it. They suddenly started speaking Swedish. They lost their accents, everything, and they're huge fans. And we're like, what is going on? They speak English. I mean, they speak Swedish. And Michael Stipe, they're like, oh, can we get your autograph? And he was like, no, I don't do autographs, but I'll shake your hand. Like, what a wank.
Well, I mean, he didn't just.
That was funny.
He snubbed them.
The other one.
What was it?
No, he didn't. He didn't. But that's only probably because he was asking for directions. He was asking for help from us.
Yeah, true.
Kevin Keegan was kind of funny because it was when he was England coach, and we were playing Sweden were playing Jamaica, and he came to watch them.
Yeah,
and we met him outside the field, and we were like, we talked a bit, had a little bit of banter, and then we gave him a piece of advice. We're like, watch out for Ljungberg. It was before Ljungberg played for Arsenal.
Really?
Watch out for Ljungberg.
Cool. You had seen him for the youth teams or
Yeah, he played in the Halmstad.
Oh, okay.
He played for Sweden already, and we're like, this guy's gonna be, really good.
This was before he started dyeing his hair and all that shit.
Yeah, yeah. He looked like your average good-looking Swede.
Average, good-looking Swede. The genes are real there. Okay, cool. No, nice. That's a good one.
There was one, but that's a bit more extreme, and that was just me being, let's say me, met the Cardigans, but Nina Persson wasn't there, the singer, unfortunately.
Wow.
That would have been fun, but
yeah, it's a bit like the Black Eyed Peas, Man United, and Prince Charles, useless since Fergie left. It's
yeah.
I mean,
except I think Cardigans were a good band. I don't think Black Eyed Peas were that good.
I think it's admirable that you know what the rest of the Cardigans look like. I've watched a lot of their videos and I couldn't tell you what any of them look like. I couldn't even tell you what color hair any of them have, whatever.
Well, it was in Sweden. It was a late night bar. My friend actually met them, and I came out of the bathroom, and he was like, "Oh, this is my best friend Dennis," to them, and I was like, "I don't know who this guy is. He just tried to suck my cock in the bathroom," and they did not get the joke.
I know. That's a great thing with first impressions. You only get to make one.
Yeah, they did not get the joke, and they didn't like it.
Yeah, God.
It was a bit awkward, and I think they stayed for a minute or two and then left.
I'm just imagining you doing a joke like that in a lift, and it not
So
landing.
they can't run away.
And yeah. But the like you're on like the 10th floor, and it's going down. There's stops on every floor, and everyone's just like, fuck's sake, when is this ever going to end? Get me out of here. Maybe if I press the emergency button,
Yeah,
Anyway.
I mean, if I was stoned, I'd probably make at least 2 jokes per floor.
maybe joke about the awkwardness.
Yeah, I'd definitely read the room or the lift.
All right. I'll try. If you could interview anyone. Oh, yeah. Do your thing. Are you pissing? Did you say? Oh yeah. Okay. Have fun.
Yeah. Thanks.
I'll just interview myself here. Oh. So Ray, you're really good. You're a really cool guy. How did you get so cool? Wow, it's a long story. And my computer does not have enough room to store it all, so I'll save it for another night. Wow, Ray, you're so rich. Why do you get such cheap beer? Beautiful stuff. Beautiful. I might piss too. Ugh.
You're frozen again. and I can't hear you.
Hello, hello, hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry. I just had to put this on. She's putting Robin to bed. It's funny. It's like what I said to you last time. I live among the creatures of the night. 12:05 over here. Oh, Shania, I'd be in bed by now if I wasn't talking to you. We're going down to Cork tomorrow. Nice 200-kilometer drive. But which is why I charged the car actually. Anyway, right, where are we talking about? Yes, here's a good one now. So we've done the best celebrity meeting you've had. This is kind of related. If you could interview anybody, living or dead, and you're allowed 3 questions to ask them. So so again, it's kind of 2 questions in one. Who would you interview, and what 3 questions? It's a no holds barred. You can ask them anything.
Well,
I'm the genie of the lamp here.
yeah, I mean, the obvious answer would be like, if he existed, really, like, I mean, he existed, right? So
Jesus.
Jesus, yeah.
Wow.
He'd be someone to.
I mean, it's kind of obvious, but not really to be, because I was thinking of celebrity or people that you worship. Maybe you do worship Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, celebrity-wise, I'd probably go Jack Nicholson. You know, I'd love to hear his stories, or Robin Williams. You know, people like that. I mean, there gonna be tons, to be honest, but
okay. Let's for the purpose of the interview, because we know this is going out live in 50 states. Okay, so let's pick one, and then we'll get to what you'd ask them. So let's yeah. I mean, it's kind of realistic in that you have to pick one. So let's pretend after that we're magic, and I can just give you that person, and you're asking.
If I have to pick one, maybe I'd pick someone like Hitler or someone.
Okay, Hitler. Okay, yeah.
And then I'd have the obvious questions, you know, why and why.
Yeah. But you can't just say, "Hey, Hitler, why?" I mean, he might misinterpret it. Okay. Let's get into specific.
I guess it would be more like, why do you blame them?
Okay.
And why, you know, you don't seem that religious, so
is in this? Okay.
Also,
sorry.
What's your goal? What do you want to happen? I don't know.
Not to ever be the guy who defends Hitler. He did kind of spell it out in his book. He did say, "This is what I want to do. This is what I think of them."
Yeah, but it's one thing to what you say in public, and it's another thing that what you. And of course, you know, he. Of course, became, like, you know, grandiose, like.
Yeah, of course.
Kind of lost sense with reality, it seems.
Power got to his head.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would wonder if, like, because some people in his inner circle did kind of reflect on him as being a warm, kind of gentle kind of person, and you're like, really?
Well, maybe it'd be Tony Blair and George Bush or something. You know, like, you know, what made you think that the Iraq was a good thing? You know, and that, or what made you think that Afghanistan was fucking behind? Anyway.
Natural resources, of course. I mean, in that case, I mean, it's the same reason why they don't go to Yemen and sort things out there. There's nothing useful there.
I mean, you're assuming that we're going to get an honest answer, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that.
But let's say they have to tell you the truth. They're dead at this stage. It's not going to affect them. I mean, other than their legacy, whatever. But you're the only person. You can't say it. You can't.
Well, then I'd need some time to think about it, really, because then I'd probably want to pick somebody who came out with something that was, you know, so out there, and people maybe didn't believe. I don't know, like, maybe I mean, there's so many things I'd be curious about. I'd be like curious about Galileo Galilei, what he thought, you know. Many people. It's a question that I need to think about a lot more. If I have,
do you know what, actually, what I might do is revisit it because I have a few more, and it might kind of come out in your thoughts between now and then. So let's mark that as something I'll come back to you at the end of it. Okay, yeah, it's very wide reaching. Okay, more on stuff that's happening today. How do you think the Ukrainian war will go? Will they concede? One sec. Will they concede the land taken if it keeps going on indefinitely?
No, I think they will concede some land eventually.
Okay.
I mean, they'll have to, I think.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's
and there will be some kind of a peace, but I think this could go on anywhere between 1 and 5 years.
yeah. It's a formidable opponent. In fairness, even with the other half of the world on your side, it's and obviously there's countries that are getting impatient with it. Like I thought this should be over by now. Whatever.
Well,
There's some of that.
yeah, I mean, but I think what Putin is actually doing is he's coming back to what briefly mentioned before is he's dividing the world into two. I mean, he's got his allies like China, Iran,
Yeah.
huge allies.
A lot of
And
ex-Soviet states as well actually seem to be on his side. Belarus, obviously.
he tends the people that obviously treat their people or like shit tend to be on his side.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's going to go on for a while. Unfortunately, I don't think there's going to be any pleasant outcome.
No, of course not. War sucks. Like simple as that. Like I mean, like innocent people are in the crossfire all the time. But look, okay, cool, yeah. Right. Bringing it down. So that's a bit highbrow. Back to my level.
I'll say one thing about war.
Okay, go on.
I've always believed firmly that if you declare a war on anyone, then you should be in the front line yourself.
Oh, we've discussed this before, actually, me and you. And I did. You'll recall I countered by, let's say, okay, so you've got Putin on one side, and you've got the Ukrainian leader is the green guy. I can't remember his name. Yeah. On the other, you put them on the front line, they're probably going to get killed. Okay. Now, obviously, yeah. I absolutely understand because I've seen that movie.
But that's the whole point.
Fahrenheit 9/11.
That's the whole point. That's why if you are in fact, or your relatives, your friends, whatever, the closest ones to you are in the front line, then you're less likely to declare
You'll be
war.
more hesitant to send people out. I understand, yeah. And certainly with things like conscription, as they do in Russia, or certainly did when the war started, you're like, what the fuck? Like, if I want to put my life on the line for my country, that should be my decision. That shouldn't be.
Especially if you're invading.
Yeah. But whatever. Okay. But
yeah.
whatever.
Saying,
like,
especially if you're invading. If you're being invaded, then of course it's more natural to let's take up arms and defend.
Yeah.
But if it's like, hey, let's go invade these fucking people. Like why? What? Like
That's propaganda. It's propaganda because
Viet Cong never did anything against me. Why? Viet Cong didn't call me the N word. Viet Cong. I'm living in America, and they don't give me rights. They don't treat me right. And then you want me to go fight a war against people who never done anything against me.
That's the success of those countries that they're able to give enough propaganda to have people thinking that they're fighting for a just cause. But
it's propaganda, but it's also we're talking about. There's no free news,
Yeah, it's all biased. Like regardless of the country you're in, it's always from whatever side. Like if you go to Russia, the news sites or the news it's all nationalized, whatever, because they're communists, whatever. So it's always going to be on the side, especially on the Putin government side. I mean, you can't have an opposition there. The opposition guy is fucking arrested.
Well, they're not officially communist, but yeah.
You
Anyway,
you know a communist when you see one, Jesus. Yeah, you don't need me to say that to you. Anyway, yeah, so
well, I say that to the witch hunt, the red hunt in the 40s and 50s in the States, where everybody was accused of being a communist. People were blacklisted in the
yeah.
arts and everywhere.
Yeah, but nobody had internet back then. Nobody could get it. Like at the end of the day, assuming internet isn't censored in your country, and it is censored in China, and I'm pretty sure it's censored in Russia.
It's of
But
course it is, and it's censored in. I mean, it's censored now in Turkey as well.
really,
Yeah, I mean, Erdogan is not much better than. He's pretty much on the same level as Putin.
it's interesting though, because in the initial stages of the war, Turkey did host a couple of meetings between the two sides for the neutral location.
Yes, because Turkey is also not in favor with Europe. So
Yeah.
what only play does it have is to use its favor with Russia to.
But I mean, if you don't
try
like
to
Europe,
gain
do you have to
favor
like
in Europe.
Russia? I suppose you got to be getting your supplies from somebody that's
Listen,
big.
Erdogan is not doing great with the economy, and besides that, they've been talking for 20, 30 years, if not more, for Turkey. I mean, being location that it does, it's a key component for any side. And
It's the meeting point of East and
they
West.
want to
Like
join,
it literally,
join the EU,
Istanbul is literally the meeting point.
Istanbul and
Yeah,
all the countries it surrounds.
yeah. Does Turkey have any big natural resources in the country, or does it import a lot? Or
I think it has a lot. I mean, besides maybe oil and gas.
yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean, you got oil, you're sorted. I mean, look at Norway. Norway's great because like they don't have to get involved in any of the bullshit in the world. They just have what they have. I mean, it's ridiculous. Like everybody's just rich, you know. And
Well, yeah, but Norway. I mean, look at Norway. They planned this, thought this well ahead.
yeah,
For years. They've been putting money, taking the money that they get from the oil and putting into like technology and stuff.
yeah.
And so they're thinking ahead. And I think now, the last few years, so are the countries in the Gulf, because they know electric cars are coming.
They know it's running
Electric
out.
cars are already there. I mean,
Yeah.
they've been there forever, but they've managed to stop them.
They're slowly feeding into the regular people buying. I mean, right now they're still.
And that's
like,
why they're investing everywhere. I mean, they're just like China.
I can afford a bog standard electric car, but I make more than the
China
average
is
person.
buying properties all around the world. And they have been for years and years.
Yeah. Property
All
is
over the world. They own the third biggest harbor in, is it Europe or the world? In Athens. They rented it for, I don't know, 50 years or
Parius or what is that the name of
yeah.
it? Yeah, but I don't know how to pronounce that. But yeah, I heard someone. I was
Yeah.
listening to somebody talking about it the other day, and I was like, "Oh, that's that place near Athens." They didn't even need to say Greece to me. The pronunciation was weird, but I was like, I always see that on the map. I was like, do they not call that Athens port? No, it's Paris. It's not considered part of Athens, is it?
Yeah, it's like no. I mean, it is Athens. It is Athens. It is considered Athens. It's a part of Athens. It's called Piraeus, and that's where that horrible, shitty football team is from.
Yes, Olympiacos.
Yeah.
That's what it was. Yeah, Mark Lawrence and Tony Cascarino were on the radio talking about that, and they mentioned, I don't know, they mentioned that they're either playing there or they were playing somewhere during the week, and they mentioned that area. They've obviously been there, whatever, but yeah, interesting. And that's the third biggest in the world.
Second or third,
or Europe, whatever. Yeah, still, though, that's impressive. I guess it's where the two seas meet, the Mediterranean and the
exactly.
Sea, whatever you call it. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. But having
it's
said
kind
that,
it's kind of like Genoa of the old.
I always think though, but Greece is just so island. Like in terms of where ferries come in with deliveries and things, it's not like you can really get on. Oh, you can get onto mainland Europe from there. A lot of the Balkans to go through, but yeah, I
Of
guess
course,
yeah.
you can go.
Oh yeah,
Pretty much.
Macedonia and yeah. I'm just thinking,
You can
of course, because
Italy,
yeah.
Turkey, North Africa,
Yeah,
uh,
bits of the jigsaw in my
Malta,
head are coming together because we met
Mediterranean countries.
yeah. Yeah, but like you know, as Zaritza that was doing the quiz with us, she was her and her boyfriend were we met them in Malta. We met them at Black Gold actually, and I just to bring up a conversation said, "What's the story with this North Macedonia stuff?" You know, explain it to me, who's an idiot. And yeah, the guy explained it to me actually. In fairness, pretty straightforward. It's like, oh look, a lot of Greece consider that area Macedonia, so they don't want our country to be called Macedonia. So we're north of Macedonia. It's not that we're North Macedonia, it's that we're north of Macedonia in the country name, which I guess is a pretty shitty name to call a country because if you called us West Britain, we'd be pretty pissed off, you know, over here. But anyhow,
But also it's not a name you'd want. I mean, they wanted Macedonia as a name, so
yeah, of course, yeah. So it's
but yeah,
all
I mean,
relative.
the Greeks, of course, thought it was like ripping off their history because I mean, Macedonian Empire,
Yeah.
was considered Greek, but of course, it covered a lot of.
It's probably the most peaceful disagreement that there ever was, because there wasn't really a war over this. You know, it was just
Yeah, I mean, it was peaceful. It
they
was
sat down,
peaceful,
they talked.
but it
People were
lasted.
passionate on both sides, but you know, nobody was
But
killed.
it went
But
on. It went on for good 20 years. I
oh,
think.
I know. We played the football team when we were Ireland did and we lost like their first ever international victory was against Ireland. We lost 3-1 against them, and like there was a T-shirt there that the manager gave whoever did the shittest training session had to wear a bib that says "I had a Macedonia," which basically means I had a nightmare, shitty performance, whatever for it. But
We talk about the Soviet. We mentioned the Soviet Union, but when it comes to like football and basketball, maybe even volleyball, probably, I'd say if Yugoslavia had stayed as Yugoslavia, my God, they would have been like they could have been like Real Madrid,
yeah, they were good. They were in the quarterfinal of a World Cup. We
as a
played them.
country
Yeah.
and as basketball, as a football, and volleyball as well. Yeah, just they were so good. They had Split 84 and
Savo Milosevic, good striker. Yeah.
Pop 84 as well as a team, and they were Red Star Belgrade. I mean, that's the team really.
Yeah.
Just renamed a few times, but wow, I mean, that was what a team and what players came from there.
It was, yeah, I do remember in the qualifiers for Euro 2000, I think. Yeah, we were in the same group as Croatia and Yugoslavia. We beat both of them at home, but we lost to both of them away. And we would still have gone through in our last match against, we just had to beat Macedonia away. And Macedonia equalised in the last minute of injury time, forcing us into a playoff against Turkey, who beat us on away goals. I was like, for fuck's sake, the whole thing. We've pretty much beaten every team we played, and we still got this shit at the end of it. It's like, fuck it,
Yeah.
Anyway, we were like, it was when Mick McCarthy. It was just before. Yeah, it was the Euros just before the World Cup. Actually, yeah, it was the last tournament before I met you. Um, I always think of you as a jinx. Ever since I've met you, we've qualified for 0 World Cups. 2002, we were already in one. I met you the day we got knocked out to Spain in the second round on penalties. That's the day I met you. And since then, we've qualified for no World Cups, and that's 5 and counting.
Well, maybe you should be looking at accountability towards what was that fucking well, you're what's the FIA?
FAI. Football
FAI.
Association. It's funny because in the north of Ireland, it's the IFA. So you've got the Football Association of Ireland, and up north you've got the Irish Football Association.
Yeah,
I
blame
mean,
the random guy you meet. That makes sense.
you
For
are
your
so
football history.
fuck you and your random ass.
Well, you know what? If it is me, I'm going to keep going.
You planned this. You planned this. Be honest.
Another 20 years coming.
I don't plan to live that long if we're not going to qualify for a World Cup. I love when we get into World Cups. The country is in such a great mood. You know, the place is just it becomes like it is the equivalent of getting a star in Mario. You know, it's just like fuck your blue shells at me, whatever. I'm still going to win this race. Yeah, just I don't care what else is going on in the world. Even actually when we're in the Euros as well, I was like the vibe was. I mean, it was nothing like when we're in the World Cup, but it's
It's probably been around
70-80% of
that
the.
long. It's probably been around that long since you won a race.
Yeah, I know. Look, all right. Here's okay. Speaking of lowbrow questions, I think I know the answer to this first one because it's a yes no.
All right.
It's a three-part question, but I'll let you answer them in order. Have you ever got an STD?
Once
Okay. Did you go to a clinic?
I did.
And
I
finally,
used to go to a clinic just to be sure every 6 months to 12 months.
wow, I used to not get laid that often, so look. Was it awkward, the clinic? It's funny because I've got the third question, knowing that the second question, did you go to a clinic? The answer would have been yes.
First time, I guess must have been awkward, of course. I mean, it's never like, oh, listen, hello everyone.
Me again.
Yeah.
I brought chocolates.
Yeah. Anybody free later?
Yeah. God's sake. Oh my God. And you couldn't they just didn't have like condoms were illegal in this country till 1990.
I don't really remember it that well, to be honest, but I actually I remember my friend's story much better.
Good.
He caught this STD and he went to the clinic in Sweden, and the guy was like, listen, we're gonna have to put this needle. We're not sure. We have to put this needle in your urethra.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I've heard the stories. Go on.
And just to make sure that you have it. And he was like, I have it. Fuck it. You're not putting that.
You don't need to check.
Just give me the medication. Yeah.
Did they insist on doing it though?
No.
They were just like, okay, cool, here you go. All right, interesting. Good doctor. All right,
well,
okay.
You say that, but you had to tell him not to.
You realize that I'm in my 40s.
It's like somebody raping you, and you say stop, and you're like, oh, okay.
I was just thinking that the next time I have a doctor's, actually, there's a question for you, sort of related. Have you ever done a prostate exam? I can't believe you have to think about this.
No.
I'm not talking about one for fun.
No, actually, I have.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was it awkward?
Well, I wouldn't say.
I say that tongue in cheek.
It wasn't as awkward as you maybe would think.
Yeah.
But it
course.
Wasn't like another night out with your friends.
You didn't open with a joke with the doctor. What was the conversation? What was the conversation like? That's what I'd be more interested in.
I don't remember. It was
really
a while back. It was a while back.
It would have been okay. Yeah. Jeez, I wouldn't even thought I don't do one until I was north of 40. Anyway, I was like, probably should check.
I went for some checkup. I can't remember what it was, and they were like, "Listen, let's do this as well at the same time." I was like, "Yeah, okay." Why not?
Oh, okay, yeah. It wasn't like, "Hey, do you mind sticking your finger up my ass there?" Okay.
But no, but I had. I went to check for what do you call it? I had hemorrhoids.
Yeah.
So I had.
Who doesn't? Who doesn't at some point? Yeah.
So I had an operation for that, and
wow, bad.
Yeah, the day before is not fun. I mean,
Of course.
during you're passed out, so you don't really know.
Yeah.
So that's fine. But the day before wasn't fun because you can't eat or drink anything except for this horrible fucking thing that.
I know it. Movie prep.
Anyway,
I've
moving
done
on.
that, yeah.
I think
Okay.
we can move on from that.
Yeah. Fair enough. Okay. This is a nicer question. The first girl you kissed, as he plays the last, there she goes in the background. Yeah. Have a think.
Well, I kissed a lot of girls, but the first girl I kissed properly, like with tongue.
Yeah.
I think that counts.
I understand. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about.
Um,
How did it happen? Where are you? Forget what age. I don't care what age you were, because it's not important. What were you doing? What was going on?
It was the first time I ever got drunk. Or second time. First or second, I'm not sure. Anyway, we were going to go to this house party pretty far, like a few kilometers away. The house party was like this villa bit way. We were very young, teens, obviously. And we went to my friend's place. Two of us went to our friend's place first because his mother was away. And he had a huge liquor cabinet. She had a huge liquor cabinet.
And she was the trusting sort.
Yeah, and this fucker poured us everything. I mean, he'd make a drink like this.
Yeah.
Vodka, whiskey. He put all the stuff, because we were that age that
Einstein, they called him. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
He didn't know what he was doing.
I've been there, man. I swapped a can of cider with a guy who had a naggin of fucking Southern Comfort whiskey, and of course, from knocking back cider, I figured, oh, it's all alcohol. I tried that with the whiskey and nearly set my mouth on fire, and everyone laughing like fuck at me. Anyway, yeah. So you're like that at that age, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we got me and my friend and I. We got very drunk, and let's call him our bartender. Fucker, he didn't drink a sip. And we downed all those, and we were pretty fucked. My friend, we took the bus to go to the place, and my friend kept blowing up condoms because he was so drunk, and also throwing up by the stairs every time the door opened.
Thank you.
We went to the party. I don't know how we found it because it was like really outside of town. We had outside of the village. We had to walk, and there were like dogs barking, and I was drunk still. Obviously, we're both still drunk, and I was like, "Is this where the party is at?" With like 3 Dobermans and German Shepherds jumping around me. I'm like, no. We got to the party.
I love that you remember these details.
Yeah.
The dogs. Go on.
We got to the party. There was this girl I had this huge crush on, and she had a huge crush on me.
Did you know that though?
Yeah, I knew that.
Okay.
But she had started going out with this other guy because I'd never made a move. And then they had just broken up, and she was there, and the guy comes up to us and puts us together. It's like, you dance because we all know you two are meant to be together. Wow. So we danced, and then she had a curfew, so she had to go home. And then we played spin the bottle, and I ended up making out with this hot girl called Effie. And she was like, we used to call her the milkman because, Mamma Mia.
She could breastfeed a crush is the joke here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, go on.
Anyway, she was really cool and hot, and we had this amazing kiss. And I think everybody commented on like how amazing it was. And then, that was, I guess it was a Saturday night, I'm not sure, Friday night. And then we met in school next week, everybody was expecting me to ask the girl I had a crush on to go out.
Yeah.
But instead I asked the girl we made out with to go out. and I dated her for a couple weeks.
Oh, okay. And the other girl was spurned, and that was that.
Yeah, and it never really recovered from that. We're still friends, but and she's still hot. But yeah.
Cool. A lot of Botox. Oh, she must be approaching 50, looking after herself, I guess.
Approaching 50, go fuck yourself.
No, but you said she was in the school with you. I mean,
yeah, she's. I
you're
guess
what? You're what? 46.
she was born. I think she was 79, so I think she's 44.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, I mean,
Dennis, let's be honest, we're all approaching 50. By the end of this sentence, I'll be closer than at the start of it. It's just unfortunately the clock just keeps ticking for everybody. I mean, going back to the philosophical
anyway,
kind of
she
points.
she
Yeah,
still looks really good and a lot younger than her age.
very good. That's good to hear.
She lives in Copenhagen. Yeah.
I always wondered if people think that I've gone to shit, but I was like, yeah, I was never that great looking to begin with. I was like, if I lost the weight, I'd look okay. Anyway, that's by the by. Right, we'll move on. Okay, so speaking of romance, I've got a 2-word question. Why Liverpool?
Hmm.
Because I know you love that club. You love that club more than you've loved a girl. You've loved a girl at this age. Because the passion I get, like when I slag you off at Liverpool, you get ridiculously. Hey, look, you love your club,
Well,
whatever. But
listen,
that's
I've always been super passionate when it comes to
football.
yeah, football or basketball even, because for a while I was super, but teams, let's say,
Yeah.
about teams.
They're your team. They're your clan. They're your almost
Yeah.
family kind of. Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
When I was in Greece, it was PAOK.
Yeah.
Huge. I mean, I went to games and almost died.
What?
Yeah, almost died. I'll get back to that
Do
after.
you mean that literally? Yeah. Okay. Let's get back to that later.
Yeah.
Okay, but like the way a lot of my family actually, certainly my parents' generation, my dad's generation, his family, both of his brothers played for Athlone, right? And I know we're only talking local, but when you mentioned PAOK, I thought, okay, there's a bit of a local thing in it. Like my uncle, now I'm not close with him, but he was chairman of the club when they've won the league twice in 1981 and 1983. I was born in 1982, which I always feel like I jinxed it by being born that year. But there is a nice little old photo of me in my pram with the league trophy, and of course, much like
Once
with
in a
the
lifetime, huh?
yeah, but much like with the Irish international soccer team, the glory days they had predated me being
I'm
able
sorry.
to.
Shame on you for calling it soccer.
You got to understand, I live in a country where football
Fuck off
can
to New
be.
York.
This isn't in
I
association.
know. There's
Yeah.
rugby and but
No. Listen, man, it's not.
Football.
I call it football 99.9999% of the time. However, as a, I'm sure you can relate as a man who says 0 instead of naught or nil when you're going to football.
Yeah, but I won't say not, but I will say nil. I will
You
say
always
0
say 0.
nil.
Yeah,
I will say 0-0. But
I
won't
always
say
find
not.
when you say, "Oh, that match finished 0-0," and I'm like, what a waste of 2 extra syllables when you could just say nil all. Which but everyone different
Listen, I'd
strokes.
say
Yeah.
0-0 or 0-0, but I won't say not. Not that sounds like a knock joke.
Not. Who's there? No goals anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Own
so.
goal. Does it count? I don't know.
I think I've just topped my record for worst ever joke, and but I still got a laugh, so that's good. Okay.
Because it was so bad. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of bad jokes. When we were kids, my little cousin said, "I got the best joke ever. I got the best joke ever," and we're all looking at him going, "What?" And he says, "How does Superman fly?" I don't know. How does he fly? With his wings. We were 12. It was funny. It's stupid. Anyway, so why Liverpool?
Well, I can't tell you for sure, but it's just one of those things. When I was a kid, it was the players they had. It wasn't them winning everything or anything. And when I really started supporting them, they weren't winning everything anymore anyway. But it was the players that I really loved. The players, the way they played. So that's what drew me to Liverpool. And then when I left Greece, because when I was in Greece, I was a Liverpool fan, but I wasn't Liverpool fan as no one see.
Yeah, of course.
Uh,
Yeah.
I was a Pauk fan through and through, and then I just stopped. I couldn't watch the games anymore, Pauk. So I needed to find an alternative. So of course I switched to Liverpool.
And there would have been coverage on BBC, or somebody would have had some sort of World Service.
No,
or
in Sweden we could watch more games than you could do in Ireland or UK. They showed all the Saturday kickoff.
They
for
could show a
example.
live treat. Yeah, treat.
There was no.
Those games are sacrosanct.
They couldn't watch. So we knew
that was always a ridiculous rule, and it still is to this day.
In Sweden, we knew Norway. We knew more about the Premier League than most British people. Because we knew the players, we've seen the games, we saw so much more.
Who would be analysing the games? That they wouldn't like get ex pros from the UK there. You would get Norwegian, Swedish commentators, analysts.
Yeah, but they were ex pros, most of them. Like you had like Nordahl, for example, who used to play for AC Milan, whose record still hasn't been beaten for.
And the Italian league would have been far more respected than the English league at the time, anyway.
Yeah, they showed generally the Italian league and the Premier League. Yeah. Spanish league a little bit, but very little.
Yeah, Madrid were on a lull at the time.
And of course, Champions League, of course.
Yeah, well, European Cup, whatever. Yeah, I know what you mean. Okay. So, I mean, with the Liverpool thing, then you obviously you start to like the way they played. When would you have first heard the "You'll Never Walk Alone" thing? Because I have to say, as I'm getting older, and I used to think this is just a cheesy, stupid song. You're kind of like, do you know something? It's more of it's more of an anthem than I think. And as I'm sure you'll back me up on this, this is not an original Liverpool thing. Celtic had this before then as their song, but it is, of course, associated with Liverpool. Far more so.
I'm not sure if Celtic had it before, but obviously Jerry and the Pacemakers are from Liverpool.
They are, yes. Yeah.
But of course it was adapted, and of course, before that they were singing. Before and during and after that, they were still singing. All the hits that were being played, like all the Beatles songs were. All the crowd were singing all those songs.
This is why I find it. Yeah.
Dortmund have adapted it as their anthem.
Wow.
You'll Never Walk Alone.
What city are they? Oh, they're from Dortmund, obviously. Yeah, sorry. Ignore the idiot here. Like it is a great tune. It is a kind of it's a very hopeful thing. It's a very when you're down on your luck kind of thing, and it's like
I think it's beautiful. It's emotional. I can't remember the first time I heard it, but I know that I still at times get emotional in a game when I hear it.
Yeah.
Obviously, big games. Not we're playing Luton. I'm kidding.
I was going to say Luton are a Premier League side. Obviously not for long, but
it tends to be in the bigger games when you hear that crowd, and especially in the worst moments. I think it's more than not. When we're losing 3-0, for example, which doesn't happen often. And you hear the crowd singing, then you feel it more. In a way, it's like we're still behind you. We're all together.
What's interesting, you know who Jack Charlton was, that managed Ireland and played for Leeds. Yeah. He was behind us, the revolution of the Green Army, whatever. But his last game, so after they got a playoff with Holland for Euro '96. It was to play at a neutral venue, and they decided to play it in Anfield. And at the end of the game, they kind of knew that Charlton would either leave or be sacked after it. And geez, when I only think about it, like to get that close, young Patrick Kluivert was the difference between the teams. like our team was aging, whatever, but we could have probably nicked a result, got a penalty shootout, win, whatever. Look at the Irish, whatever. But Patrick Clive the difference, and they were going to sack him after. Anyway, so he did resign, whatever. But at the end of the game, everyone's holding up the Irish flags, and they're all singing "You'll Never Walk Alone" at Anfield too. And that's the first time for me I ever really got the kind of, as I'm talking about it now, the hairs of my hands are standing, whatever. Just that kind of feeling of like, but you can see this is a big moment, and I'm, what age am I at the time? 13, 14. But I was like, oh, fuck it. I can see why people love this sport. You get moments like that. And as I'm getting older, I take the sport less and less serious, because you got fucking more pressing shit to do in life and all the stuff like that. But every now and again, I think back to stuff like that, and like, fuck, this is what motivates people. This is whatever, like.
I don't know. I mean, I get absolutely, but I don't. I mean, I take it, I won't say less serious, but with a pinch of salt. I mean, I won't take it as serious as I took it when I was 15, 16.
Oh yeah, you're living and dying with them then. Yeah.
When I'm ready to kill.
You're not far off it, but yeah.
But the beautiful thing, football, I can go anywhere in the world and I can make a friend in a minute.
Of course, yeah. You can be sitting in a bar, not even look. You can be watching a game, not even looking at each other, and you're having a big, deep chat about stuff. And eventually you might look down and say, "I'm Dennis. I'm whatever. I'm Ray. Whatever. It's
I mean, football.
It's a great icebreaker.
Football is like a Nokia in the 90s, connecting people.
It's quite the opposite these days, dividing them. You go for a piss, are you?
Yeah.
I will also piss. I may also get a can. I've been nursing this last ages.
Yeah, my finish as well, so I'm gonna top up.
Okay, I'll see you in a minute. Hi.
Hey.
Yeah, right. Just talking to her downstairs. This off a bit so I don't look. But it's funny when I'm here, it looks like I'm bald, but I'm not. Anyway, be thankful for small mercies. All right. Right. So that was the football thing, kind of covered. Right. Now, so here's a question for a man who's well traveled. What country in Europe has the best food? There's a lot of best here, so whatever. Okay, best food in Europe. What country do you go to if you know you're going to that the food is the most to your liking that you've been to? I don't know why I said Europe. You've never left the continent, have you?
Sorry?
You've never left Europe. You've always been in Europe. You've never been to Asia, Africa,
I have.
America. Oh, where have you been?
Well, I lived in Turkey. I lived in Israel.
Israel's in Europe, sort of. Is Israel? Israel must. Maybe it is considered part of Asia.
Eurovision is not how you draw the map.
Well, Israel is in Europe in the Eurovision, so
That's why I said it's not how you draw the map because it's not in Europe.
okay.
Middle East.
Yeah, that's not a continent, but it is. It
basically
is
part of Asia.
Asia. Okay, yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right. You're right. I apologize. I'll
And I've
admit.
been to North Africa.
Where have you been? Morocco?
Mhm. Yes. I'd say
Okay,
uh,
where in the world has the best food then? Is my question then?
um, I like the food in Morocco, but I'd say the best is probably between Turkey and Italy.
Very different cuisines, I would say, but
Right,
yeah,
but
yeah,
where I've
yeah,
been, where
yeah,
I've
yeah,
been.
yeah. No. But I mean, they're yeah, yeah. Sorry, yeah, they're their own different thing, but you like both, give or take, equally.
Yeah, I mean, Turkish has a much broader, but what the Italians do is quite broad, but good at everything.
Yeah.
Well, I don't like everything in Turkey, for example, in food.
One of the Sopranos podcasts I listened to, or they have the Christopher character, and he said he loved going back to Italy and seeing, having the food there, whatever. He said the food is worth the hype, whatever. But he did say if he goes somewhere to a restaurant, the bread tends to be a disappointment when you go into a place. They don't have nice bread. He was saying. Now I've never been to Italy. I can't really give it.
I don't know.
Yes.
Well,
Where
who
were
knows?
you?
I mean,
Where were you in Italy?
bread, best bread overall is from the Nordics.
Yeah.
Best fresh bread is places like Turkey, where you get it, straight from the oven.
Yeah. They're making it as they go. It's not just sitting there half the day. Okay. Okay. Best women. What country that you've been to?
Look wise, I'll be more specific than country. I'll say Stockholm.
I definitely concur. Yeah, the hype is real. I remember sitting in the restaurant, like the one day I spent there, sitting in a restaurant, just looking out the window. I could not go 10 seconds without a beautiful blonde girl walking past. And this was February with -10 outside.
Yeah.
And it wasn't as if they were showing skin or anything. You just knew the girl was beautiful just from seeing her with
Yeah.
her.
I mean,
Yeah,
you're walking around and there's just beautiful person after beautiful person, really.
yeah. I mean, fuck.
But sexiness, I'd go French Italian, maybe. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Just the way they are, the accent, the style.
They have a sex appeal.
Yeah.
There's this beauty, and they have a way about them.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. It's not just the obvious nice tits, nice ass,
yeah,
and
I mean,
there's a
you're
there's
gonna
a
see
much.
you're gonna see a beautiful 50-year-old woman even in
Yeah,
Sweden, because she's looked after herself. She's
yeah.
super healthy, blah blah. But when you see a beautiful Italian 50-year-old woman, she walks around with this like this
And
confidence.
they smoke 20 a day, but they still get away with it.
Yeah, there's definitely sex appeal. Yeah.
French. Okay, cool. What else? Best country for nights out.
Mm. I think that depends on the age.
Now,
Now,
because neither myself nor you are getting any younger.
yeah, I mean, I don't go out that much now, so it's
Yeah.
hard to.
Okay. Let's make it easier. Let's rewind 10 years.
Well, I don't know. I don't have a best country for that because it depends on you and the people you're around.
Of course,
Yeah.
no, of course. Let's say all things being equal, me, you, and David, right, have won a holiday to, a guy's holiday to any part of Europe or any place you've been before.
Listen. I would love to go
Where,
out. Like,
yeah,
I would love to go out somewhere like South America. That's where I'd love to have a cool, crazy night out.
yeah.
But then I could say the same thing for
You're about the
Asia.
third person to say that to me this week. Actually, there's a guy I know that does go. He has got like no money at all, but he still goes to South America once or twice a year, to Argentina, Colombia, places like that. And
Yeah, I
it's
mean, I think I would love to do that. I mean, I always wanted to move there for like a few months or a year, but it just never happened.
you struck me as the type of guy who would just do. I mean, without like without probing your reasons for moving from country to country. I do think as you certainly after you met me, as soon as I found out your address, you just moved again. You know, this fucking asshole again. How does he keep finding out where I live? You know.
Yeah, I mean, I do, and but then I also thought, you know what, South America is too far. I should have done it in my 20s, and
It would be a big It would be a big adjustment, I would imagine.
yeah, but I'm okay with that. It's
Yeah,
not.
yeah.
It just I felt like I left it too late. So, but you never know. Who knows? You know, maybe I'll retire there.
I mean, a couple of years ago, you never said you'd be living in Germany. You know.
Yeah.
But who knows what's around what's that tune? There's a tune by One Republic actually called "Kids," and which the
There's
lyrics,
actually, yeah, I
the
know it's
yeah,
One Republic or MGMT.
no, not MGMT, One Republic. Um, There's a line in it. I don't know what's around the corner. The way I feel right now feels like will never change, and it's like I'll send you it on later. It's actually a really good catchy tune, but it's just like I remember actually around the time that myself and Jill split up, and I was thinking of moving and stuff, and I was moving to Dublin, and just the old like I remember looking back at the tune, I'm like, that guy didn't know it's around the corner, and myself and Laura met a few months now. It's a long time before me and Laura ended up actually dating proper, but that I met her, just I don't know what's around the corner, and of course looking back, wow, there's the mother of my kid, just around that time. It's just anyway, stupid shit. But the whole moral being that you don't know what the fuck is coming, and it could be something absolutely major that you just really didn't fucking see, that just completely changes where
Yeah,
you
but
are, what you're going to do.
that's the whole point, kind of, isn't it? You know, the whole point is to challenge yourself or whatever. I mean, like as you know, I moved around a lot as a kid,
Yeah.
and then I've kept moving around because obviously because I'm so used to moving around as well, but because I feel like every
You're not really
place.
used to having to have a safety net within your because like
You know,
I've always kind of had my parents like when things get fucked up, I can kind of withdraw and just be like, worst case scenario, let's say fucking a bomb hits this place tomorrow, I can move back in with parents, things will be fine. They're only 10 minutes down the road. Things like that, or even when I was in college, even when I was never, even when I lived in Sheffield, those summers, I was only an hour plane ride from back home. I was never really gone where I'm just the guy on his own. And at some point in my life, that will be the case. Even the fact that I'm a dad now, and don't get me wrong, Laura's not the 90% fucking parenting, but it's like that somebody is looking to you for guidance, and somebody like, oh fuck, I don't know what I'm doing. Jesus, they're gonna find me out. But I don't feel like that now because I'm like, well, I do kind of know what I'm doing enough to keep a kid alive, and stuff like that. But when you're, especially when younger, you're like, well, actually, I really don't want to go into the deep end somewhere because I could fuck up. Like, I know my limits as I get older. I'm like, well, I was too hard on myself when I was younger. But I think a few years ago, I got quite cocky. Not cocky, but just like, went a bit too far out of my own lane. It's like, okay, I'm in my own thing now. I'm making good money. I'm working with guys who've got me back. So I'm confident enough to take calculated risks professionally and stuff, but I still kind of swim in my own lane. And things are all right, things are pretty good. Things have worked out good personally, whatever, nothing's perfect. There's, everyone's got fucking 100 fucking reasons that things could be better, that you could do whatever, you could be more ambitious, whatever. But generally, I'm pretty good. I'm pretty happy, He says to the guy he's interviewing.
Yeah.
uh, but yeah, but that's it. I mean, have you ever felt like that though? That you're like, oh shit, I don't have a safety net here. This thing I'm about to do, if it fucks up, it could go pretty bad. Do you ever worry? Like, one thing I've always wondered: have you ever worried about going to a place that you might end up homeless if things fuck up too badly?
Yes and no. I mean, I've always thought that this might not go well.
Yeah, I do recall you being quite stressed about this move.
But always figure it out.
Yeah.
I guess that's part of the challenge or part of the fun. In a weird way. Stressful.
I guess it builds character as well. Like, just that you're like, the next time you're stressed, you're like, well, do you know something? I was stressed before and I figured this out.
It's simple as you learn much more from your challenges than you learn from you learn much more from difficult times than you learn from when life is perfect. You don't stop and think anything. Everything's going well. You just don't. You just if you can, you try to enjoy it. If you're aware of yourself enough. Yeah. Otherwise, I mean, and I think that's a thing for me. I think every new place means that I'm going to learn something more, and after I've been one place for a few years or something, I feel like okay, I've learned all I have from this place. It's time to.
Yeah, I recall you saying that about places before. Yeah. I suppose, because I'm always like, and it probably reflects on the question I've had where I'm like, what's your best this, what's your best that? And it's like you said, it's hard to answer it because it's like, you're not like, oh god, I found the best place, I'm going to stay here now. Everywhere else isn't as good as here. This is where I want to be, And of course, that in
listen,
itself
most places I've lived, most times, not always, but let's say half the times, I've been super happy where I've been. But I have realized that I've gotten everything I could from the place, and I'm not getting anything new.
Yeah.
Even though I'm having fun, it's nothing new. It's just more repeat. And these are things I'm gonna remember, at my deathbed.
Yeah,
so
it's
time to move on.
It is something that like, I remember, like, I think one of my first kind of realizations of that, even if I didn't at the time, is like going to Sheffield the second summer, to expect it to be anything like the first summer, because we did have good times and all that as well, but it's like, you hype up an experience so much that you're not going to repeat it's like when someone takes ecstasy and then takes more. You're not going to get the same fucking high, as before. It's just it's the first, it's the initial thing, the initial experience, whatever.
Just need to pause this for a second.
Sure.
Because my battery's out, because I had to bring the laptop here.
Okay.
I need to figure out a way to make it reach. Let's see where it is from.
That's what she said. That is definitely staying in the tape. I can't. How long are we talking? 2 hours, and I did 3 hours nearly. And my first "that's what she said" thing.
That took you a while.
I know
That's
that's
what
what
she
she
said.
said.
Set up for you.
I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 7 more questions. I will say actually, what this has given me is actually it's given me great kind of ideas for because Laura's sister Jennifer wanted to do this as well, and we're meeting her tomorrow. Well, at the weekend at some point. She said, "Oh, if the one goes okay with it, I think this is actually going quite well. I don't know what you think yourself. It's good kind of introspective kind of chat, you know. Like it's not quite scripted because we are going. I am going off the questions and stuff, and we're kind of shooting the shit as well in between, you know. Um,
Yeah, I think it's fine. Obviously, I'm your guinea pig, you know, so it would have been
you've
more
always
fun
been
for
my
me.
you'll
More
always be
fun
my
for me
guinea
if you
pig.
did like 5, 10, 20 before me. But
Yeah,
yeah.
Look, if I was a good host, I wouldn't be coding software for a living. Right, let's let me see what's the next. Oh, okay. Here's something more philosophical. Best piece of advice you've ever got.
Look behind you. I don't know.
I don't know, okay, take a sec, take a minute, take a minute. It's not. I'm sipping away on this cold beer while it's still cold, so.
I don't know. I
And,
have to
and you
think.
don't need to and you don't need to necessarily follow it, but it's something that makes you like a lot of stuff for me. I know I mentioned things like the second things aren't as good second time round, things like that. You know, like it's not as if I followed it. I'm always going back to old. I've been to Malta 10 fucking times now, you know. And it's not as if we had a fucking epic experience, but you know, I always have good times down there with yourself. You know, you always have fucking most people you hang out with are always interesting people, and I end up either being friends or at least casual acquaintances with myself anyway. You know, as the years have gone on. I mean, out of all the people I've ever met, I have such a network of friends just through knowing you, and even
I'd
David
say, I'd
by
say
extent.
maybe the best piece of advice was probably my father when he came to visit Sheffield and told me, whatever you do, I like her, but whatever you do, don't take this girl seriously. And that was Laura.
That would have, yeah, and I have to say, actually, that's a very brave and admirable thing that he would have said, because I imagine your response to that initially would have been rather frosty.
It was, and he said it to me, and also in the sense he's like, don't get me wrong, the girl you dated before, my ex-girlfriend Ingrid,
Yeah.
he was like, she's someone serious, she's someone you could marry. This girl is not.
Yeah.
And I didn't speak to him for 6 months because I was,
Yeah.
I mean, I was 21, 20,
It's hard medicine to
whatever that
take. I
was.
have had my dad.
And yeah, I was insulted,
Yeah, of course.
even though I kind of knew he was right. But then 6 months later, I got this package through the mail, this big box. He sent me, we hadn't spoken for 6 months. I opened it and it was full of presents for me and for her, for Laura. And there was, had a letter, and he told me that, and the letter said that he had a heart attack. And anyway, it was, I regretted everything at that moment.
Of course, yeah, of course, Jesus, yeah. But like at the end of the day, like Dennis, if you were now able to talk to your 21-year-old self back then, you'd have probably still have done this. You'd be like, oh fucking no, how dare he say this about my girl? Like that's what you'd be like, because the not quite the same thing happened to me. But my dad, like you met Rachel there. I mean, we had terrible fucking fights. My dad, who's the most quietest man ever, would not get involved in these are the sort of things talk to your mother about kind of thing. He did call in and I said, Ray, you gotta fucking do-" and I was like, mind your fucking business, get fuck off, you know. And I didn't talk to them for almost a year myself. You know, I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
thankfully that thing didn't happen. But you know, it is your pride kind of gets in the way of your. I mean, when
yeah,
you're
of
in love with
course.
somebody,
Especially when you're younger, your pride
yeah,
is
and
so much
logic,
so big.
your logic is lost when you're in love with somebody. Like, I mean, you know, there's plenty of people out there. I'm sure you still know people that are stupidly in love with people who are just bad for them. You can see it from a mile off.
Well, you know, it's ego, stubbornness, and age.
And it's one of those things, like, because you always fear that you'll never meet somebody that you feel that way about again, you know.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
after I split up with her, like I was almost 2 years before feeling anything for anybody. You know, I was very numb about it the whole time. You know, I
Yeah,
remember.
after my first serious girlfriend, it took me a while, and
Yeah.
I think when it came to Laura, I was kind of like in love with the idea of being in love.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
mean,
so
the chemicals are working in the brain, and just everything just feels better because you're out. I mean, and you ignore their flaws, kind of thing. I mean, like these days, I'm like, you know, I love Laura despite the fact that she is the smelliest feet you'll ever meet a person on the planet. You know, it's just, you know, you know, you still, it's not about it's not about that initial buzz. Like, I was so delighted that we ever hooked up, kind of thing. They got together, and I still am. But like, she got tons of flaws. We argue like fucking cats and dogs, but we love each other. You know, we enjoy each other's company. We're used to each other. You know, we're so kind of, we're embedded, kind of thing. You know, it's
yeah, but it's different. I mean, and also, you know, as you get older, I mean, we're obviously, hopefully different, right? I mean, I'm not the same person I was 10, 20, 30 years ago. No way.
you like to think you evolve as time goes on. Yeah.
Yeah, but you know, I was naive enough to think that I had evolved so much by then already. And
I mean,
in certain things I had, and certain things I hadn't.
yeah. But yeah, I mean,
Especially relationships I hadn't. It's always been, you know, something that, you know, I don't know what exactly it stems from, but yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think being born good looking, it's a blessing and a curse, because like you will get more opportunities with girls, you know, or with better looking girls, all that kind of shit. But at the same time, you know, somebody that you actually like might think, well, he's just a fucking playboy, you know, he's just gonna fuck around, but you know, and they might give you the time of day. Otherwise, like, whereas I always think that because I'm kind of average or maybe a little above average looking, that, you know, anyone I'm with, barring that the girl herself is particularly ugly, that they would think, well, he's obviously delighted to have me, worships the ground that I stand on, all that kind of thing. I don't know. I'm trying to get inside women's minds, which is never a great thing. I tried to get inside their bathrooms before, and they started screaming and calling the cops. So look, right, moving swiftly on.
After your really poor joke.
I can't be fired all the time. Right. So that was actually probably your best answer I've given you, in my opinion, tonight at that one. But I'm going to ask you the same question again, but I'm going to flip it. What is the best piece of advice you have given somebody? In your opinion, obviously.
That's even harder
Yeah, that's what she said.
because I've given so many people so much advice. I mean, I'm a
I can actually, just while you're thinking about that, I will give you one that I actually liked from you. Was a 3-word piece of advice you gave me in 2017 in Malta, and you'll remember this. Let her win.
mm.
Do you remember saying that to me? Yeah,
No, but I got it.
yeah, just yeah. Um, I took that advice, and you know, after the awkwardness of flying home and dropping the girl off to her house and going back, and I never looked back. You know, just it stopped any kind, like, I think I owed the girl €50, something like that, for whatever, and I was like, fuck her, she's been such a whatever, and you're just left her win. What is €50 to you? for a bit of peace and quiet. Let her win. Like, yeah, do you know something? Yeah, you know. Anyway, yeah, that was what came to mind for me. But I'm sure, like you said yourself, you have given people advice, and you know, I would say from my point of view, because you don't necessarily get the feedback from it, and maybe you don't even remember doing it at the time. But yeah, I thought that was pretty good advice. Long term, it kind of got me thinking. Yeah, do you know something?
Well, I'd say I can't answer that because, and I know this is gonna sound
It's an
cocky
opinion.
or
It is an
whatever,
opinion, though.
but I have given so much advice, and to so many people, to and which I know that has been good and has helped them. So I don't have one particular. I mean,
What jumps out at you? Forget the best. What jumps out at you as something that you have said to somebody before that you at least think has helped them, regardless of the best. This isn't. Yeah. This isn't the charts. This isn't top of the pops there.
uh, I don't know. I honestly I don't know. I mean, you're asking me like to suddenly think of thousands,
No.
piece of advice that I've given on something that just sticks out.
Okay.
Like,
Okay.
I mean, there are many things that stick out, but I don't know.
You've had chats with Daniel before, okay? I just as a something to zero in on a bit because it is a general question. I accept that, but Daniel, I'm sure you've, other than said stay off the H, but
Well, I've given. I mean, like I said, I've probably given Daniel 1,000 different pieces of advice along the years. I think I guess generally, I'm just going to generalize it. I'd say the best piece of advice I could give or given is always try to put yourself in the other person's shoes. Try to feel and think what they're thinking.
yeah, actually taking that advice, I'm like, he's probably thinking, fuck's sake, I've lived a lot of years in this earth, given a lot of advice. Why is he asking me to pick a favorite? Yeah. But yeah, no, I understand that. I do get that as well. Even in simple things, actually, in fucking work, and when I'm testing shit, and I'm like, that stuff doesn't work, fix it. And I'm like, well, they're like, well, I've worked pretty hard in this stuff. It's grand. Why are you criticizing? Anyway. Okay. I think I've milked all I can out with that one. Right. What is your biggest regret in life?
There are a few. Hard to say what the biggest is. And depends if I mean if it's my cause or someone else's cause. I guess the biggest one is going out with Laura.
Yeah. Obviously, there's been repercussions, obviously. Yeah.
But there, yeah, I have several.
Yeah, actually, because the question was two-parted, but I thought I'd stop on the first part because it's a thinker. But what would you have liked to have done that you feel may have passed you by? I know you tipped on this earlier with South America, but does anything else come to mind?
Yeah. My father, biggest regret. he asked to come to visit, and I said no, it wasn't a good time. And then the last time we spoke ever, he told me he was depressed, and I kind of ignored it. And yeah,
Yes.
I think that's it.
Yeah, and that's it. Yeah, and it's one of those things like because the door's closed on it. Yeah, I know. Look, I say I understand. I can't because it's not happened to me. But yeah, obviously I can relate. Look, my dad did have a stroke last year. I actually picked it's. I was He actually babysat Robin today. My mum was in Boston and in America with my auntie. So he's the babysitter while I was working. Laura was working as well today. So I've actually saw him quite a bit the last couple of days. But like it's one of those things. Like I always think I can kind of tell him more, not about it, but I tell him more kind of funny stories, kind of more. I actually told him I was doing this interview idea with him, and there's a show there's a show over here on our television station called The Meaning of Life, where the guy like Noel Gallagher's been on it, a few big celebrities have been on it, and this is what gave me the idea for doing these interviews, whatever. Anyway, but I just told me that I wouldn't have actually. I think a few years ago I wouldn't have told him that. I would have thought, it's the same way. I don't. I've my parents blocked on social media just because. I remember a few years ago he's like, "Oh, what are you saying that shit on Facebook for?" And I was like, "Would you mind your fucking business?" But I mean, because I always think that like people are like, "Oh, why do you block your parents?" Like, well, I do go visit them. I do talk to them in real life. So like me having you blocked on social media, like me on social media isn't me in real life, as for most people, Um, God help people that really read my actual thoughts. I don't really post serious stuff anymore. Anyway,
Well,
but
you post a lot,
it,
but
it's it's not all
uh,
yeah, but it's not my personal thoughts in most cases.
obviously,
It's
I
it's it's
mean,
it's harmless shit in 99% of the cases.
yeah, it's but that's social media, right? But I mean, I'm less and less inclined. I think I post maybe 6 times a year. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. It was a trend that kind of I say it seems to be dying, but what what annoys me about it now is like your Facebooks in this world, nobody posts anything on them anymore. They may send a photo or something or share something else. If I like reading what people are saying, but I don't have a Twitter account and I would never get one, even before your Elon Musk's of this world, because I don't want to read nothing but opinions. I want to read a little bit of people's opinions and stuff, but people just stop posting anything at all on Facebook because I always have Facebook's the best of both worlds. It's kind of a bit Instagram,
Yeah, I mean,
it's a bit
and
Twitter, but
I
it's
don't.
not.
I've had a Twitter account for how many years, and I think I've posted maybe 10 times, maybe, and it's I don't know, and I've only posted kind of like a heat of the moment, maybe like a Liverpool game or something. I don't know, or some Elon Musk or
Yeah,
George Bush or something like that. I don't know, something like that.
I like I
Trump.
like
I know I posted about Trump,
I kind
but
of wish the Facebook was more like Reddit. That you had a little bit of kind of like that you're not posting about necessarily personal things. Yeah, about kind of maybe about politics, not necessarily politics, maybe about football, without the stuff getting abusive. Like what I love on
yeah.
Reddit, my favorite thread ever is just people talking about TV shows, about Sopranos, whatever, and they might have the most profound thoughts, and people just come back with quotes from the show. They're like, "Why don't you
Well,
shove your quotation book up your fat fucking ass?" That kind of,
what I'd say is I I don't follow Twitter, uh, but when it's on the news, I'll read a Twitter then, for example, that's made the news, possibly depending on the subject,
of course.
uh, and otherwise, Facebook is dying out like crazy. It's
Yeah.
just ads and videos
And
you know,
stuff from people who aren't even fucking connected to you on it as well.
yeah, and
It
I'm not
gives
even
you that
sure
people. It
I'm
gives
not
you
even
that.
sure I can see the people that, you know, all my people that be posting whatever. You see
Yeah.
whatever the algorithm shows you.
Yeah. But yeah, look, it's a business at the end of the day. Okay. Sorry, I'm really.
I thought it was a better business previously in the beginning,
Absolutely.
without the when you were just watching what, you know, you could see what and everybody was writing, everybody was involved. Now it's
Yeah, and the thing is, everyone's like, I'm like, where is everybody? Like, over on Instagram. It's like, I go to Instagram, everyone just has pictures and shit up, and hey, look, I enjoy Instagram as much as the next guy because it's a softcore porn site at this point in many ways. But it's just there's nothing there for me from for my mind, you know. But look, anyway, we'll move on. Because the last question I asked you was about what would you like to do that you feel may have passed you by. But yeah, I guess posting on Twitter wasn't one of those things. All right, we'll move on. Okay, this one's controversial.
okay. Ask me the question and let's have a toilet break.
Michael Jackson, opinion on him after what came out. Have your toilet break and have a think. Don't whack off to Michael Jackson. He'll be a while.
I'm just gonna top on my glass.
Sure. All right, wacko.
Yeah. Well, you know, musically, always been a huge fan. Genius.
Here.
I watched the documentary. In the beginning, I felt uncomfortable after to watch anything, listen to his music, but I didn't really know exactly how to feel. I can't say. I can say actually that that feeling is gone because now I've been able to dissociate the music from the
The art
person.
from the artist.
I, but having said that, I still don't. I'm still not sure because from the artist person, I don't know if I believe those interviews. I'm really divided on it. A lot of it doesn't make sense, and there's no really proof. I mean, the fact that he was a weirdo, that is 100% sure.
Yeah.
What kind of
No
weirdo he
debating it.
was, that's the question. You know, he's no fucking Jimmy Savile. You know, he's not a.
Yeah, I mean, Jimmy Savile, you could have predicted he was a pedophile just by looking
Yes,
at
I
him.
did. I honestly did. The first time I saw him, I thought this guy's a fucking creep.
Yeah.
And every fucking British pervert has turned out to be. I've been correct about my first fucking time I ever saw any of them. I thought, oh wow, this is a fucking pervert. And how is this guy? You know, how is this guy being, you know, adored and not noticed? It's so obvious that I mean, he looks, he behaves,
Yeah.
you know, totally
Actually,
perfect.
come to think of it, you've heard of Russell Brand recently
Yes.
at the news of him.
My
Yeah.
first thought about him was that he was a pervert, to be honest.
Yeah. But between
But
somebody being a pervert and somebody, going over the line with, I mean, a pervert can be defined as somebody who just likes looking at porn and does their, harmlessly beats himself off to it. Whereas
when I say
as a
pervert, I use it in the context of like too much. Cross the line.
rapist, then you're getting to that. That's more of a that's a
Not
different
quite
word.
rapist. It doesn't have to be a rapist, but it has to be almost rapist.
Groomer, perhaps, would be probably a better word.
Depends on the case, you know.
Yeah.
We can, but Russell Brand, I couldn't stand him in the beginning because I thought he was a pervert, because I thought there's something really off with him, and he was just attention seeking. But over the years, a few years ago, I saw some podcasts with him, whatever. And I thought, okay, you know, I mean, I know the guy is intelligent. He's
He's
really,
pretty funny. I will say
he's
this.
charming. He's funny.
He's very funny. I've seen his stand-up shows. I haven't been to one, but I've seen some DVDs of him. He's very funny
No,
from that
I
point of
mean,
view. But
he is, and I was like, you know, maybe I was wrong about it.
like, who's to say? We weren't there, but like, it is one of those. It's very awkward for me to give an opinion, like, because he could well have done these things, but it's the first time I've seen somebody accused.
I think he's done these things. I mean, if I look at him, I think he's definitely done these things because
Does he
it's
need to?
so. I think it seems so in his character when I think about it. I think he's definitely done these things.
Like, again, maybe this is where, going back to the original question, Michael Jackson is, it's very hard to give an objective view, given that you enjoy the art that the artist has
Well, you
provided.
know,
Like, very few
there are
comedians
many
make me
other
laugh
things.
these days. Yeah.
There are
What?
many other things you can think about and look at this way as well. I mean, we all know that Michael Jackson was weird.
Yeah.
I mean, he was semi-abused as a child. You know, forced to work at from like 4 or 5 years old. You know, and you know, the father was beating him up and blah blah, and all these things. Sure. But then you look at Russell Brand. No, he had every fucking comfort. So he's a completely different phenomenon. He's completely 100% aware of himself. And I don't think Michael Jackson raped kids. He did behave with them inappropriately. Like, you shouldn't be, your best friend when you're 30 or whatever shouldn't be a 10-year-old, you know.
Yeah, of course.
You know, things like that. You know, and you shouldn't be sleeping in the same bed or whatever. Do I think he raped him? No, I don't think he did that. I don't think he did that at all. Russell Brand uses fame, intellect, and I think he manipulated the situation and everything to his own advantage in a much I wouldn't say darker way, but in a much more obvious way.
Yeah. No, I get it. He's yeah. Look, it's not something that has a yes no answer. I'll say. Um, I do think my prediction on on these try he will get off. That's my prediction.
I don't know. I don't think so.
It's
I
not
don't.
something it's something I'm 60-40 on. And not that he's necessarily
Well,
innocent.
listen. I think even if he gets off, I think his career is over.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
maybe in 10 years. In
he's
10
got
years.
podcasts, so I mean, like he's going to have people on his side.
No, but YouTube will block him if he gets
But he'll do
convicted.
podcasts. He'll have a Patreon, whatever.
Yeah,
You
but
know,
they'll block him if he gets convicted. You know, he'll show up again in maybe in 5-10 years.
probably yeah. It's interesting actually with people getting cancelled because some people get cancelled. You don't even it's not even announced that they're cancelled. They disappear. You're like, geez, I haven't heard of that person for 10 years, and you suddenly realize, oh shit, they're cancelled. You know, for something that just didn't really hit the headlines. They just discreetly got moved out of the way.
Well, look at Will Smith. He just won an Oscar and he got canceled the same moment.
Well, at least he got the Oscar before it happens.
Yeah, but
he's hit the roof, and then yeah, I know.
yeah,
I'm
but it'll
joking.
be
I'm
years
joking.
before he can brag about it. About the Oscar, I mean.
He won't be bragging about the wife. I'll tell you that. But that was the
Well,
case long before.
yeah, but did you came out a few days ago about his wife that they've been separated since 2016.
Why do you bring her to the Oscars then? She wasn't up for anything.
Well, probably, of course, to help her career or something and attention. I don't know.
Maybe
And because it wasn't public anyway.
maybe then the punch was scripted. If we want to make a leap from that,
No, it wasn't scripted.
yeah,
It wasn't scripted.
no, yeah, I know. Just a bit of wild speculation, just to keep me podcast numbers up high. Is really, wow, just raise on to something there, you know. Anyway, probably not. But yeah, I mean, you know, fuck her. Like, I mean, listen. While I have said as the man who's doing the best man speech at the wedding, while I did set limits, Laura is able to take a joke, you know.
Yeah, but I don't know how the family is and stuff.
I know. Her younger sister Jennifer would probably be a bit, you know. Anyway, that's them. Anyway, we'll move on. Yeah. Is reality TV worth watching? And what impact do you think it has on society?
It's worth watching to experience it. Yes. And it, when it's good, it can be quite addictive.
Yeah.
It depends. I mean, there are all kinds of reality TV shows. I mean, are there about the couples hooking up, Big Brother, or is it about cooking or something? There are all kinds.
I enjoyed Big Brother for the few years, like maybe not in the initial couple of years, but I kind of got into it as it went on. But I haven't watched that sort of stuff in about 15 years. Laura loves Love Island and that, but I'm like, that's not reality TV at all. That's something scripted where a lot of pretty people hook up, you know.
I have never watched Love Island. I have seen the first few seasons of Big Brother. That was about it. Actually, I've seen the American version, a couple of series of that, which was actually much more fun. And I've seen things like not Blind Date or whatever, 50. I mean, these dating shows.
They're not reality.
Love
really.
at First Sight, whatever. All these things, they're fun, but but at the same time, I think I was watching one just a few weeks ago, and then I didn't finish it. I watched a couple episodes, and then I was like, I feel so shit after watching this. I feel so shit as a human being.
I feel stupider.
watching this.
Is
Yeah.
what it's the vibe I get.
Why? I mean, I spent a few hours watching this bullshit. Why? I mean, that is the total waste of time. And at the same time, it wasn't even that entertaining. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah, like I don't mind something stupid if it makes me laugh, if it makes whatever, if it kind of, like I said, I listening to an album I haven't listened in years, whatever gets to here in the end, brings you back to something. That kind of thing. You're like, why am I wasting time? Like, and nobody. Hey, look, we're all just pawns in the fucking greater scheme of things. But you're like, you've only so many hours on this earth. You want to spend them fairly okay. Like, you'd have. It would be more productive to go to sleep for a couple of hours because you'd have got some rest. Maybe had a nice dream about of an old
yeah,
threesome you had, whatever the fuck.
I guess that's in general the main issue. Unless you're getting some kind of like a psychological insight or something, you're really not getting anything from it. Or like you're like, oh well, that's like my friend, or that's like me, or that's like that. And maybe I should be learning about from their behavior about my behavior or something. But it doesn't really end. It's
the same. It's the
extremely
same old
rare,
fucking idiots they
extremely
have
rare
on
like
those
that.
shows.
All you can generally say is like that behavior is wrong, that behavior is wrong, that behavior is wrong, which are just automatic natural things that you should
You
know
might as well
anyway.
be watching a kindergarten and that's
Yeah, and
that's
the
bad.
worst thing is that we're wanting something to happen.
Yeah.
We're wanting to something extreme to happen so that they're so that we're entertained.
And they're guinea pigs under it all. All right, okay. Who inspires you or has inspired you the most for things you've gone on to do in life? Another nice general one. Arnold Schwarzenegger, while you're thinking of that, Arnold Schwarzenegger did a put up on TikTok something similar like that. He's like, am I a self-made man? He said, no, no. And he started listing all the people from like, not just his parents, obviously, just like people like school teachers, whatever, people he met, actors, whatever like that, that got him going, that inspired him, people that got him going into the bodybuilding thing that made him want to do that, people that got him into politics, he just listed names and names and names. The whole thing was like 10 minutes long. And you're like, fucking hell. I mean, and he's like, you might think that's just me listening to people, but it's like, without these people, I wouldn't, I'm nothing. You need, you're not just this fucking superstar without it. And I was like, the man's meek as well as successful, but anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. I have to think about that.
Okay. Okay. Let me put it this way, okay? If you see a podcast or you're going through your feed and there's somebody that you like is saying something and you see that the thing is like a 10-minute long video of whatever they're saying, who are you most likely to hit play on that video and listen to for the 10 minutes? Hopefully distraction free, or you try to go distraction free from it.
What do you mean, like a friend or?
No, famous people whatever. That you're like, oh, okay. Look. It's a bit of a vague question. Like, we'll come back to this one. I'm going to asterisk that one. I've got two more questions. This one's fun. How do you think the world will end and when? And I mean, like, human civilization, just in case you think, well, the world will still be here after we're gone. How will humans die out? Nice and cheery.
I don't know, probably like 150 years from now.
Okay, that's the when. How?
Climate.
Like, you think climate's going to get there first before we all do nuclear bombs, before What else could go wrong?
No, it's
Big plague, whatever.
it's all going to happen together. Once we have extreme climate, which we're starting to have, when it's more extreme and people can't live in certain areas, there'll be more forced migration, not just because of politics as we have now.
Which will cause diseases, I suppose.
It's already a problem.
Yeah.
We're gonna have that, and then that's gonna. I mean, what's gonna happen first is a question, I guess. But yeah, it's gonna be a combination of both things.
All right. Okay, my last question on the list, which is completely out of sync with what we're just talking about. Who's your favorite comedian ever?
Robin Williams.
Do you know what's interesting about him?
Robin Williams, but I've watched quite a few of his stand-ups, the official shows, and they haven't been that great. Though his, like one night recorded performances, just random when he's just going off. I think he is the funniest person ever. But as for stand-up comedy specials, movies, Eddie Murphy.
Even though he only really has two that are very,
Yes,
very,
two.
yeah.
How many do you need?
They were. I mean, they were amazing. Yes.
How many do you need? Two.
Well, I mean, one if it's completely like out, but yeah, I understand. But yeah, do you know the problem with Eddie Murphy for me is that he's gone on for as long as he has, and he's been very fun, and he's been the guy, but it's been a while since he was the guy.
So question would be like, who do you think is the funniest man who's not a stand-up comic? And I'd say Alec Baldwin.
Ooh. I've seen him in interviews. I don't really find him. Maybe he's not trying to be funny and he's talking about serious subject matter, whatever. Baldwin, really? Now, maybe you can point. Hey, listen, if you take nothing away from this chat, send me on some stuff where you've seen him be funny, because I really can't give a judgment because I haven't seen
really
enough.
Funny. He's really funny.
If you say so, but send me on a couple to convince me. But okay, that is an interesting. I was thinking that you would mention Eddie Murphy. I thought you might mention Seinfeld, but to be honest with you, looking back on Seinfeld stuff, I remember you showed me that video I'll be telling you for the last time where he does a greatest hits of his comedy, which I remember finding it very funny. As the jokes haven't really stood the test of time, I find.
The latest stand-up comedian that I thought was the funniest, and it's probably one of the funniest, is CK.
Oh yeah, Louis CK, yeah. Oh, he's fucking brilliant. He is actually. I love actually how he gave it a show one night, and I gotta dig it up, and maybe you've seen it. And I was just like, this is just so funny how we can't like do a joke about nigger anymore, and like, oh, you can't say it, you can't say it. It's like, but I did. It's just like it's just like that time that I was just having a beer with this nigger, and then we were all just calling each other nigger. He just kept it's so stupid, it's funny, that kind of way.
No, he is super funny. I mean, right now, from the last comedians, I think he's the funniest. There are a couple of decent ones, but I think he's still the funniest. But he's obviously been Me Too'd out.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you like that Finnish comedian I showed you, Ismo?
Yeah, he was okay.
Yeah,
he was okay, but
he does good little.
That was stand up that I could come up with in 10 minutes.
Yeah, it did remind me of something you would probably do yourself if you're giving it a go, and the intricacies of languages and stuff like that, because it would. work well in the room, whatever. But yeah, it's. I mean, even he says, I find it funny how the English language has the silent letters, and you're like, why do you have these letters? What is the point? It's anyway. That's why he's paid to be a stand-up comedian, and I'm not. Now, let me just go back to something. Sorry, I'm trying to remember. Oh, yeah. All right. I'm going to go back to one of the questions. I know it's getting late, but so earlier I asked you if you could interview anyone living or dead, and first pick the person, and second, three questions you would ask them. I wonder if has anything we've chatted about kind of made you think more about who you would. I know you kind of mentioned Hitler earlier, but you were kind of about him.
Now that's still something I have to think about more because
Yeah, okay.
also because they not only the person but the three questions.
Yeah. Do you know, as an amateur interviewer, I don't care what anyone says. If I was redoing the interview, I would probably have asked the first part of the question, stopped, waited for your answer, and then hit you with the answer. Because now you're locked in. It's because now your mind is kind of thinking the two things, and it's kind of it's making it more 3-4 dimensional kind of a question. I do remember asking you before what you would ask Putin if you could meet him. And obviously you're like, a lot of how dare you kind of stuff, and how the fuck do you sleep at night and all that shit. Actually, here's a fun one actually that I'm just going to throw in, which is kind of related. If you could talk to your dog there behind you and he understood you, but you can only ask him one question, what would it be? We'll keep it simple. One question. Remember now.
Tell me all the things you like.
Yeah, that's nice. In fairness, I think you kind of he'd probably go back saying you, food, pooping, running around.
Oh, or just tell me every time. Tell me if anything hurts.
But they do that. They yelp. I mean,
They don't when they get sick and stuff.
it's like what's interesting, like as Robin day by day understands you more and more and likes her little routines. I mean, even like when I pick her up from in the room behind her, if I pick her up out of the cot, on the way we have to tip the light. On the way down the stairs, we have to tip the bit of the wall. We have
Yeah,
to the glass.
yeah.
And she'll get upset if you don't do it with her because it's a routine.
There's a difference between instantaneous pain and chronic pain.
Oh yeah. Okay, sorry. Yeah, going back to that. Yeah, of course. Oh yeah. Yeah. The dog could be feeling the pain inside without expressing it. Yeah, but
Yeah. Anyway,
you might be better. You might be better off not knowing in that case. All right,
well,
cool. Good.
depends.
Okay, cool. I'm going to hit stop on the record because I have asked most, if not all, of the questions.